with the news and weather. Time to figure out what to say. It's time to turn the channel of the Keeler Show today. Why do we always listen? Keeler's always in the know. It makes me want to call him and tell him where to go. And now let's get things started. Andrew, let's get things started.
It's time to get things started.
On the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Keelerational. This is what we call the Keeler Show.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Well. Boy, beautiful sunshine already. The weekend, all right. But temperatures will be, all right. We could handle 65, right? But today is going to be a beautiful, beautiful day. Full forecast with Craig Flint coming up in a bit. Also, the Preakness, Davey, is tomorrow, and this is much different than the Kentucky Derby. So I'm not by any means someone who I couldn't even forget expert. I'm not even somebody in the know. But I can tell you that with the Kentucky Derby, the beauty of that was, number one, you had all the favorites that were knocked out. But then you have so many horses in the Kentucky Derby. The Preakness, tomorrow, you only have 8.
And most of them aren't even from the Kentucky Derby. Only one horse is the running the one that won the Kentucky Derby.
The mayor or whatever. It's going to be interesting to see what our man Scott has to say this morning. He's an expert on horse racing, and he's going to give us his picks and his take on all of it. But it is a whole different world because you're dealing with just 8 horses. Now, if you wanted to do like a trifecta, would that make it your chances better?
Oh, much more so.
Because there are only 8 horses.
Well, are you talking about versus an exacta or just picking the winner?
I have no idea what a trifecta or an exacta or all those things really are.
So an exacta
I'm
not very good at, I'm not an expert in this regard. We will talk to Scott from Kirkville later this morning.
Scott's got great information. So,
but an exacta means you pick 1 and 2, who came in first and second. And a trifecta means you picked first, second, and third.
I'm picking a horse called Mike Hennessy's coming in at $1 billion to 1 chances to win. Would that be would that if I put $100 on that, it would pay $1 billion, right?
You won't need to work here or ever again.
Okay,
if you put $100 on that.
He's out claiming that I ambushed him yesterday. Man, I got to tell you, the world is flat and the Martians have landed in this guy's eyes. I just don't get it. There you go, calling people names again. Now, I'm frustrated. I'm sorry. I listened back to it again. I had no intention of seeing that thing go south like that yesterday.
So to my recollection, and I did talk, Mike called me yesterday afternoon, to my recollection, he started with the. I don't remember what he exactly said.
He got into the. Jeff's nice to me, but Bill is not.
Right.
Oh, for God's sakes!
Yeah,
I've been nothing but nice to the guy, and yesterday was frustrating, and I for a little bit I started to get caught up in it. I'm like, you know what? This is not worth it. I have stuff to do. My daughter's home. We're celebrating her birthday. She'll be able to buy me vodka after this birthday. So, I mean, there are other things to worry about. But I just want him to know these things that he thinks that I have done to him when he comes on the radio are in his head.
Well, you don't, to be fair, you don't subscribe to his way of thinking or his plans or criticism of what Paceni's done in the area.
It isn't because, he's saying I'm on Paceni's payroll, all that stuff, whatever. I've heard that stuff before. Have I done work for the county? I have. But the weird thing that he doesn't understand is, let's just take again, let's look at the accusations. Number one, he thinks that we had a guy call in 4 years ago. I can't even believe he's still talking about this. 4 years ago, when he said what is now Wolf Speed is it was a bad deal. It's not going to work. And why? Because their technology is outdated. And I know nothing about this. I don't know. But it seems like, why would they invest all this money in an outdated company? Why would Wolfspeed want to do? Why is Wolfspeed succeeding? I know they've had some stock issues. They're really caught up right now in the supply chain problem. But I don't know that, and I don't think it's necessarily true. People were celebrating the fact that Wolfspeed was coming in here. So, but he said what they should be doing is quantum computing. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get to the bottom of the quantum computing thing today. And I'm going to be in full disclosure. I have set up this person to come on and talk about it. This is not, they're not calling in on a whim. They're not like, hey, I'd like to come on the radio. Could I come on? I set it up yesterday. And the person we speak with this morning, who is very in-depth with, very involved in what's going on in quantum computing and has unbelievable success stories, is Mayor Jackie Izzo in Rome.
Oh, really?
Knows a ton about it. I never realized this, but I spoke with her yesterday, and she knows a ton about it. And here's the funny part of this whole thing. When he's saying that, and so does Pacenti, who will be on today. I mean, let's just understand what's going on out at Griffiths right now. All of this quantum computing is being researched and discovered, and huge, enormous things are happening. Part of the research, when they say the United States, Russia, and China are in a race to be the first one to finally master quantum computing. Now, that's the key here. 4 years ago, Mike was talking about quantum computing as if it existed and as if we should just begin doing quantum computing up at Wolfspeed. The problem with that is it hasn't been mastered yet. It hasn't completely been, I don't want to say the word discovered, but we're right now there is like the nuclear arms race, there's a quantum computer race. Because the first country that ends up mastering and really figuring out quantum computing will be ahead of the rest of the world. And the U.S. doesn't want Russia to get it, and we don't want China to get it. We don't want North Korea to get it. So there's no doubt that quantum computing is the future, but it is not now commercially. It's just not now. And that's what Jackie will talk about. But the beautiful thing is, Mike's saying we should be focusing on quantum computing. Pacenti, Griffiths, Mayor Izzo, they all are doing just that, and the U.S. military is doing it on the grounds of Griffiths right now.
Well, so a couple of thoughts on that, right? I think something like that's cutting edge. It doesn't surprise me that Griffiths is working on it. Maybe some private companies, or they probably do have some efforts to try to, I don't know, how do you want to say, crack the code.
That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. You're trying to figure this out.
Right.
And unfortunately, we're not there yet, but we are close. And they have done some, and wait till you hear what Jackie has to say. She just went on about this, and so did Pacenti yesterday. He paid me to listen, of course. I sat there while he was paying me. That accusation just burns me up. So here's the okay. So that logic from Mike Hennessy is wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he's wrong. And when he says that we set someone up to call in to make him look bad.
Yeah, I want to address that. I want to go back to that.
That you have full knowledge of that.
Yeah, unless you did it behind my back and set something up secretly, I can't even remember the guy's first name. I can't. It's funny.
We were not able to find him. He was just a guy that called in, said he was from Mohawk, and said he has a great deal of knowledge in this chip fab world and knew about quantum. I'd love to get the call back. I'd love to find the
Same
call.
thing. I wonder if Andrew has his number.
No, he doesn't. We could not find the guy.
Yeah.
So because he's just someone who called in. Now, let me just be.
That was not set up. We did not. 4 years ago when he ran, that was not a.
You set it up. You did it to make me look bad, and you destroyed the whole thing.
No, that's actually not true. There's a difference between. So I agree that the county should have done this, or if I agree that the county should have done that, or they shouldn't have done that. It's one thing. If I agree, or if you agree, excuse me. But I can 1,000%, 1,000,000,000%. I think that's the money that's on the line in your bet, as you pointed out.
$1 billion.
Bet that billion, because I can tell you right now that that's not what we did.
Absolutely correct. So now, can I just be in full disclosure? Can I just say to you that it is? I cannot. Mike said you claimed he was some expert in quantum computers. I didn't claim anything.
He did.
He did. And he talked like he knew what he was talking about.
Right.
It was way over my head.
Same.
And he may have been an expert. He may have been a guy in his basement that just studies this stuff online. He may have been reading a script. I have no idea. I don't know anything about this guy. So the implication that we set it up is flat earth crap. And I'm sorry, that's the reason I talked to more people yesterday. There were a few out there that said, Mike, you go. He doesn't know anything. He's an idiot. He ambushed you. Oh, my God. That's as crazy as the flat earth garbage that you're dishing out.
I just want to quickly say, because you mentioned the flat earth thing a couple of times.
But he put on a display yesterday that verified for people. There's no way I could vote for him. It would be a debacle if he became county executive. I'm sorry.
It just made me laugh because I was here at 2:30 this morning, 3 o'clock this morning, and I walked into the studio to check on something, and as Coast to Coast was on, and I immediately turned it down because I was doing something else, but oh gosh, I can't think of the name of the host. George,
Neary?
George Norrie.
Norrie.
Was the two words I heard him say before I turned it down were blah 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 quantum computing.
Yeah.
So it was on the overnight Coast to Coast AM show.
And listen, it is the future. It is and I just need somebody who knows about it, who has the knowledge to explain it. And
Wilbur.
We'll have it was Wilbur.
Was it Wilbur?
It was Wilbur. Wilbur from Mohawk. I remember
that just hit me in the head.
Yeah, because it became a huge issue where Mike was like, you set that guy up. And I remember going through this 4 years ago.
We don't even know who he is.
He's still, if I could have him on today, believe me, and I set the whole thing up, why wouldn't I set him up to call in now to say, I'm Wilbur. I am a scientist of, but what I'd like to do is get the call and play it back. I know we have it somewhere. But to be able to play that call back and say, here's the original guy that called in. You be the judge. Listen to it again. You be the judge. Anyway, I just feel, and the other part of this is that I just want you to think logically. So my side job is there was a guy that called in yesterday who his name is Ed. I don't know who he is. He just called into the show. Most people who call into the show, I don't know. Some are regular callers, so we do know them. But in this case, he called in and he just basically said that, I sometimes feel, he said, I feel like my side job is I do political work, I do commercials for companies, for education institutions, and I do video work for political campaigns and businesses. Tucker Pools, I do their commercials.
I thought you were going to say Tucker Carlson.
I do Tucker Carlson's commercials. That's what got him fired. So, but here's the logical part of this whole thing. You got to just think about this for a second. So if I am corrupt, because that's what Mike says that me and Judge Clark are in two different arenas, but I am corrupt, so I'm on the take. I'm willing to bring someone on and make them look bad because I've been paid by a political figure, and in this case, Pacenti. when you think about it, I wouldn't want to kick him off the ballot. I'd want him on the ballot.
Right.
Because if he's off the ballot, Peseni doesn't have to run commercials. If he's on the ballot, if Hennessy's on the ballot, then he's got a campaign. And when candidates campaign, that's where I work. That's when I'm working. Mm-hmm. If they don't, I haven't worked for Griffo in like 14 years. He hasn't had an opponent in 14 years. I did his campaign the last time he had an opponent. It might have been Tim Julian back in the day. Anyway, the logic would tell you that why would I want to have Mike Hennessy kicked off the ballot?
No, you're right. And that's why you started the Joe Griffo as a Rhino Facebook page, isn't it?
I've been all over. That's right. I'm doing the opposite. I'm trying to get him back on the ballot. I mean, it's just craziness. And it is a shame that people come in with this preconceived idea that, we're going to, I am going. At one point during the interview, he said, Bill, I'm no longer going to talk to you. I'll only talk to Jeff. Okay, like I can let that happen.
Right. And like I can jump in on that. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Look, again.
That's right, Bill. You don't step aside.
Yes.
You've been unfair. I'm going to take over. I mean, this is just craziness. And the only thing I can say about it is, if this is how an interview goes, what would it be like in the conference room at the county office building if Mike became county executive? It would be terrible. And he did make a comparison to Dave Gordon. But when I called him on that, he said, why are you bringing Dave Gordon into this? I don't know, Mike. You talked about him 10 seconds ago. It just was surreal. And, people calling in, and I do want to say this. People saying, and Davey, you said there were several people that were saying, get this guy off the air, he's drunk.
Yeah. No, he's not.
That is not true. And Mike has had some health issues, and that is not nice. So, and it is absolutely not true. Right. And ultimately, I do want to say, the guy, no matter what you'd say, the guy cares. He may anger people. He may get in fights with me and other people that shouldn't have even happened. I get all of that. But at the end of the day, he cares about the community, thinks it's going in the wrong direction, and wants to be involved and change it.
So
that, to me, you have to – I always respect that. Whether I agree with somebody or I don't agree with them, I respect that.
I got several messages during and after the show. Same thing. Was Mike drunk? And look, I've been covering politics locally or covering this community.
That's Mike.
It's his speech pattern. It's the way he talks. It's been that way. I've known him for probably 20 years, or known of him for 20 years, and that's.
Well, maybe there wasn't a medical condition. I don't know. What it is. Something's going on because he struggles walking.
Yes.
So,
yes.
but the guy is trying. He's trying to run. But I stand by the one statement. If you're running in a political campaign and you can't figure out a way to get on the ballot, then maybe you shouldn't be running for the position you're running for.
The other thing was, to my memory, your actual criticism of that process wasn't him. It was people who carried for him.
Correct. And it's not all of them. I mean, he obviously had, I don't know, what was it, 970 or 985 or 86 good signatures, but there were 14 or 13 of them that didn't fly, that didn't allow him to get over the $1,000 threshold or 1,000 signature threshold. So it is what it is. And and then his campaign manager saying, the weather was bad, it rained, it snowed. The weather was bad for every
everybody.
Candidate that went out, whether they went out themselves or they had people going out for them. And then finally, a campaign manager that comes on the radio and says, Peseni's been around forever. We don't have that kind of support. Are you kidding me? You did not just say that. You think about what was just said there. It's like,
right.
We don't have
He's too popular.
He's too popular. We don't have the votes and the people to support us. Well, that's not something I would want to admit. Certainly would want to turn that around. So and then the implications about Judge Clark were absolutely unfounded and incorrect and wrong. And So what I was told, there's a couple things and we'll talk to Paseni, and then I've got Scott on the Preakness. What I was told yesterday is a couple of key things that we should pay attention to that Mike said that are absolutely incorrect. He said Paseni is sue crazy. He's suing everybody. He's suing. So the reality is, in this current proceeding in front of Judge Clark, who's suing? It's Hennessy.
Right.
Because Hennessy's appealing not Paseni's decision, but the decision of the Board of Elections. So the Board of Elections, when contested by someone on behalf of Paseni. So that's where it began. So if you want to criticize that, I guess you can criticize that. But most campaigns scour over signatures, and if they don't make sense, they challenge them. And the Board of Elections said, yeah, these should be thrown out, and it turned out to be not enough. But Paseni did not. It was not Paseni who did the suing there. In this case, it was Judge Clark. And here's the other thing. I found out the procedural problem. So do you realize I asked probably 20 times yesterday? The case was thrown out based on procedure. And I could not get an answer.
Right.
We didn't get an answer from his campaign manager. They kept just generalizing it, and it just didn't make any sense. I found out what it was. So he said, I had 50 witnesses or 30 witnesses out waiting to come in. They wouldn't even allow them to come in. These people came from all over.
Yeah, this is important.
Remember this?
Yep.
The important thing is those witnesses were never subpoenaed. And by law, in the way it works in the court system, in order to bring in a witness, that witness has to be subpoenaed. The court must be notified of any witnesses. They just showed up with these witnesses, and there was no subpoenas. None of them were on the agenda. We'll call it for the day. I'm probably getting the language wrong, but that is as bad as poor signatures, and that's why it was thrown out.
So
that's why
okay.
the case didn't go forward. I mean, does that make Judge Clark a criminal, a corrupt person? Because that was the implication that was made.
So, my understanding was a little bit different, and I'm not saying you're wrong at all.
And maybe I am wrong, but that's how it was explained to me. Let's say this: that's how I interpreted it, and maybe I'm wrong. But we'll have Paseni on, and we'll hear it from the horse's mouth. What happened?
My thought was like, if there's a murder trial and someone appeals, kind of that first level appeal isn't the judge or the panel of judges going, well, we've reviewed the facts of this case and we think they're innocent. What they say is, did they instruct the jury wrong? Was something
technicality of
right?
some sort, but
procedural stuff.
But in this case, I'm told that they didn't follow the procedure to get the witnesses on the docket in order to be able to testify. And furthermore, each ballot in question had to follow that procedure individually. So if you had 14 signatures that were in question, you would, I believe, you would need to subpoena 14 witnesses to come in and say, that's my signature. And the subpoena would follow in line with procedure for the court system. That's how I interpreted it, but I could be wrong. And we'll speak with Paseni in the 8 o'clock hour this morning. Jackie Izzo is on at 7:30. Sorry to go off on this whole thing, but, man, that was crazy yesterday.
Well, I thought it was because I got some calls on it yesterday, too, from some folks of what happened, how did that start? I'm like, go back and listen to the whole thing. So,
you know how it happened? It just happened.
Yeah, like
it
so
just
people
happened.
said I tuned in at such and I caught the tail end of it, or I caught the second half of it. So I said, look, I was just sending them the link to our YouTube page. If you missed it yesterday, go to YouTube, search Keeler Live. Again, I love how this
and it was on in the 5 o'clock hour this morning. But you can say I just felt it spiraling out of control, and I couldn't control it. I could not rein it back in, and it got very frustrating. And at times, I became very frustrated. But I just, sooner or later, I just like, all right, this is where we're going. There's no sense in getting all excited about it. Let's just keep going.
The only other thought I had on this was the point about, how difficult it is to get signatures in poor weather. I understand that. I understand we didn't have a horrible winter this year, but again, it's not a great time of year. It's miserable. It's cold outside. I had mentioned this a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago. I'm surprised they don't have something where they basically put out an email to all supporters and they go, hey, we're doing a chicken barbecue, or we're doing I don't know, trivia night, political trivia night, I don't know, at some venue. If you want to support candidate B, come on down and sign the petition. We need 1,000, right? So we're hoping to get 1,500 people or whatever the numbers break out to.
I think by going to each individual house, you are more apt to make sure you're getting somebody who
that's
actually
true.
lives there.
That's 100% true.
They're going off a list. But anyway, I think the process is very difficult and outdated. Believe me, I completely agree with Mike on that. But the problem is the playing field is level. Even, you may have one candidate who's been who has a lot of power, who has a lot of followers. Well, that's what it's like to go up against an incumbent.
Yeah.
This is not anything new. And the whining about it, I'm sorry, the woe is me, which I said apparently in the previous interview, the whining about this is just not becoming of a candidate who wants to be representing a county that is, I just have an opinion on what we're looking at in this county and in the region. We're seeing a huge transformation. For the first time, cranes are scattered throughout the region. Construction is going on. Things are happening. And it isn't about anything but that. I'm a constituent, too. And I like what I see. That's it. And that's why I believe Pisani has done a great job. It isn't anything more than that. I'm just another voter. And I accept the fact that because I give my opinion doesn't mean somebody else is going to be, well, Bill said he likes Pisani, so I must. Or Bill doesn't agree with Mike Hennessy, so I must not agree with him. People aren't going to do that. I don't carry that kind of clout. But I have an opinion, and people agree with it or disagree with it. They all have pulled up their big boy and big girl pants, and they have their own opinions. I'm just giving mine. That's all it is. It's nothing more than that. Here's Scott in Kirkville, who's going to give us his opinion.
And they're down the backstretch.
And I believe his opinion is far more valuable than any opinion that I give because I trust Scott. He wins every time he bets, for God's sakes.
Well, it could be. Let's say it could be more valuable, right? What are you thinking?
Well, I'll tell you, it's first of all, it's like old time's sake, waking up and listening to you guys at 6 o'clock in the morning, like the old days, and you guys always were a staple in my morning, right next to my cranberry and prune juice I had to take to get the day going.
I hate the fact that you don't have the ability to get to go to YouTube. I hate that, but it is what it is. So
you live on the top of a mountain? I don't get it.
I know.
Well, I tell you, if you guys get about 6 more amps out of your transmission, I can get it. I can. Lakeport, you can hear it really, really good through there. And I'm parallel to Lakeport on Filer Road. And basically, when they go up the hill, there's actually a hill you got to go up and kind of lose you and make the turn. So basically, I was hoping there's actually Flo's Diner there. Maybe I might just drive down there and hang out in the parking lot. And they got the 10-cent coffee and stuff, and listen to you guys that way.
And you can't stream us on our app?
He doesn't have any of the newfangled technology.
Yeah, I'm a flip phone guy there, so
gotcha.
But meanwhile, you guys, like I said, you guys, it's very interesting. You guys, touch a lot of different topics. That's why I like them.
Well, Scott, let me tell you something. Here's another topic. Davey, what did you do yesterday? What did you get yesterday?
I upgraded to an iPhone. I joined the world.
He can stream. He can listen to the show.
Who's that, Uncle Smitty?
Yeah. And I got to tell you, Greeley Forge in Florida right now listening. I mean, you can be anywhere and listen with that.
I had a funny question. Smitty walked in this morning. First thing he said to me, Jeff, he showed me his phone. I go, nice. He goes, how do I turn the volume up?
All right, Scott.
First of all, Uncle Smitty, I was watching the NBA last night, and they were talking actually. Uncle Smitty's got what they call an NBA jump shot, but the NBA sounds like for nothing but air, though. But
well, listen, I hate
slow.
I hate to do this today, but I'd love to be able to move you. Would you be around in the 7 o'clock hour?
yeah, absolutely.
All right. Can we call? We have his number.
I have his number.
I'd like to take you out of the news at 7 o'clock because I went off on all this and I screwed up the time here. So let's, because people want to hear what you have to say. We'll do it at like 7:13. Okay.
You got it.
All right, we're going to call you back.
Thank you, Scott.
I personally want to hear what he has to say. Quickly, Joe Load. I've got 15 seconds. Good morning, Joe. Did I lose him? I did. And ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Willie Waffle. Hello, Willie.
Well, hey, how you guys doing today?
I'm moving people around because I have you on the schedule here this morning, and I always want to hear what you have to hear. So
oh, great. I bumped somebody.
You're
They're going to love me for that.
You bumped Joe Load. You bumped Scott. You're bumping them all. All right. Each week we speak with Willie, and he gives us a little insight as to what you can stream, what you can watch. I'm going to tell you, there is the world has changed, Willie. This has become and I know it has changed a lot, but in this regard, there is a new thing that people do. And I was speaking with someone about this just yesterday. And Mr. Malachi always gives me these, hey, you got to watch this, you got to watch this, we just watched this, you got to watch it. That's become the new thing today, is sharing with friends and family, you got to watch this. This series is so good. It's the new, I don't know what, but it's the new thing to do, I think.
Oh, yeah, and I think a lot of it comes from the fact that there's just so much product out there right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many streaming options. There's so many different programs on each one of them. I mean, it used to be that, you know, you'd have the big programs or the big movies that everybody watched, and those days are far, 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 far gone. So you can't keep up with everything anymore. Nobody knows what the cool show or the hip show is anymore because it's different for each group. It's different for each demographic. It's different for all sorts of different groups.
It is, depending on who you are and what you love. It's crazy.
A quick shameless plug here because Joe Lowe didn't get a chance to do some plugging. I just want to mention again Tricia LaFoche, who is from Utica, an actress. I'll mention her show Jury Duty, which I don't think we talked to Willie about, right?
Have you seen that yet, Willie?
I have not seen Jury Duty. Talk to me about it a little bit.
It's really good. You gotta dig deep to find it.
It's on what streaming service? It's free. It's completely free.
You can get it on Amazon.
Yeah.
But if you search for it on
Is it
Amazon.
on their Freevee?
Yeah,
they have
Freevee.
The Freevee thing? Okay.
Yes.
So essentially it works like this. She plays a lawyer, and
let's say there are 30 people who are acting in the scene. 29 of them are actors. One is being had, if you will. He's on the outs, and he thinks it's a real trial.
And if I'm not mistaken, I mean, this guy and all these actors and actresses were doing this every single day, Monday through Friday, for 6 months, just like you would a typical trial.
Yeah.
So I'll encourage you to watch that. I know usually you give us the recommendations. It's great things about it, right? But I wanted to kind of segue into, there seems to be this new wrinkle in reality TV, because somebody else was just telling me there's a new show that debuted where everybody's an actor but one person. That seems to be the new wrinkle in reality.
I think Jury Duty's been around for a little bit, but that Willie, you definitely have to check it out. It's a good show. And the plaintiff's attorney, not prosecutor, but the plaintiff's attorney is what they call it. She has red hair, and she is actually an attorney from Utica. Her dad's also an attorney here. Pretty cool.
Well, all I know is if I was the one guy who was not in on it, and I was stuck on jury duty for how long, I better get paid big time.
I don't know that it went. Did it go 6 months?
Well, no. I think it was a 60-day, like 2 months.
Yeah, it was a while.
If I said 6, I apologize.
It was like a trial. They did it like a trial. So it's called Jury Duty. Search for it. Okay, what do you have for us this morning, Willie?
I am here to warn you about the family Stallone. That's right. Sylvester Stallone has a reality show on the Paramount Plus network.
Oh, boy.
And I got to tell you, and plus, and if you don't want to get Paramount Plus, it's on MTV every Thursday night.
Okay.
And, the weird thing is, when it's focused on Sylvester Stallone, it's actually interesting. Like, come on, this guy is one of the most popular, one of the most successful movie stars in the history of the world. And it's kind of fun to see him hanging out with his friends. He's hanging out with Dolph Lundgren. He's hanging out with his brother Frank Stallone. And he's hanging out with Al Pacino, who they didn't tell they were filming a scene. So he walks in, and the first thing out of his mouth is like, what are the cameras doing here? Is this the show? Is this he ends up getting on the show because they kind of lured him in. And that part's fun. And watching him and Pacino talk and hang out is really great. But then there's the rest of the show where they try to focus in on his 3 wannabe model actress daughters. And they're just boring. There is nothing interesting about them.
Is it their beauty? It's like they're really beautiful.
Yeah, they're okay.
Yeah.
If they weren't Sylvester Stallone's daughters, you wouldn't think twice. And they engage in all this like just very typical reality show baloney with the girls. Like we're all going to play a prank on Dad, and silly stupid stuff like that. And that's what ruins the show. It's like 1.5 waffles.
I didn't. What is this show? His show? It's called he has a
Tulsa King.
Tulsa King. Everybody loves that. I couldn't get into it.
Really? Okay. I need to get into it. I want to see it. I just I kind of fell off the wayside there for a little bit. I didn't catch it.
Willie, how much? When you think about this, there's so much material out there right now. We're talking about that. So many different episodes and series that we've not seen as of yet. And now we have a writer's strike. So I'm wondering if the big conglomerates out there were like, listen, we've got a good year if we need to. There's so much material out there that everybody's going to be fine for a year. If we can get this thing wrapped up in 8 months, 6 months, we're going to be okay. Do you think that plays any role?
I don't think that plays a role because, they're still catching up from COVID.
Yeah.
Production levels aren't quite what they were pre-COVID yet. And I think what's really driving this is the studios want to keep more of the money. And so, they also have to negotiate with the Directors Guild. They have to negotiate with the Screen Actors Guild. So they're going to play hardball with all 3 of them, trying to see which one breaks first and cuts the best deal, and then go to the other 2 and go, hey, you got to take it. These guys took it. So that'll be the big problem.
In theaters, anything in theaters worth watching this weekend?
That would be the Fast and the Furious 10.
Okay.
With Jason Momoa going crazy, playing the greatest, wildest, insane villain you've ever seen. And, stuff's going to blow up, and there's going to be some tussles, and there's going to be some fisticuffs, and you're going to see some cars, and you're going to see some stunts, and none of it's going to make any sense. 2.5 waffles.
Hulu and Disney Plus are merging. I did not realize that. That's a big deal.
Yeah, that is big. Disney's been pursuing a more of a majority position in Hulu to own Hulu, and they do bundle it. They have bundles where you can get like ESPN Plus and Disney Plus and Hulu together. And they said by the end of the year they will have a service where you can see Hulu on Disney Plus. It'll probably be commercial-driven, ad-driven, but you can buy the separate apps with no commercials. They'll gladly sell you those for more money.
They better not take away my Unsolved Mysteries channel, where I get to watch Robert Stack from the early to mid-'90s. Seriously, I still love that show, even though those mysteries have been solved.
Willie, we appreciate it. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, and enjoy the beautiful weather today. It's going to be nice. Even in Binghamton, it's going to be nice.
The sun is shining. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks so much. All right, I have somebody telling me my interpretation of what I was told happened yesterday is absolutely wrong, or the day before with Judge Clark and Mike Hennessy. I'll explain, I guess, what I've learned coming up. WIBX Utica, Rome.
President Biden gathered with other world leaders in Japan. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. They visited a shrine, had their pictures taken together at a G7 summit that'll focus a lot on Ukraine. They put out a statement calling Russia's invasion illegal, unjustifiable, and unprovoked. Pentagon spokeswoman Sabrina Singh says,
our priority remains on supporting Ukraine with what it needs and for whatever it takes and forever how long it takes.
Some of our allies are pressuring the U.S. to give approval for them to give Ukraine F-16 fighter jets. Now, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has been asking for that air support. Sunday, he'll go to Japan to meet with the G7 leaders in person. Today, he's in Saudi Arabia for a meeting of Arab leaders at a summit there. The Air National Guardsman charged with leaking classified documents, many of them related to the war in Ukraine, will be back in court today in Massachusetts, trying to be released while awaiting trial. Jack Teixeira?
They say Teixeira didn't run when the media published his name before the April 13th arrest, and he won't run now. Teixeira is accused of sharing secret military documents about Russia's war in Ukraine and other top national security issues in a chat room on the social media platform Discord.
That's Fox's Carmen Roberts. Disney has another issue with Florida, pulling the plug on a plan to build a new office complex to bring 2,000 employees to the state amid sparring with Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis over a self-governing district after Disney spoke out against Florida's new education law critics call Don't Say Gay, restricting teaching in schools about sexual orientation and gender identity. As for the canceled office plan,
a rep for DeSantis, who is expected to launch a 2024 presidential run, calls the cancellation unsurprising, citing what they call Disney's financial straits, falling market cap, and declining stock price.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. A marathon on skates. Last night's NHL playoff game didn't end until almost 2 a.m. Florida finally scored the winning goal in the fourth overtime to beat Carolina, the sixth longest NHL game ever. America's listening to Fox News.
Maxwell, he was scratching and losing some hair. My vet, she says, oh, he must be allergic to chicken. Another vet said, he's the drain. Third vet said, it's the weather. Then somebody said, DINOVITE.com. It took 2 weeks, and the dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out. The Dinovite is a big part of Maxwell's diet.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Newsmax is conducting an urgent poll asking if Tucker Carlson should be on Newsmax with a primetime show. Vote in the Newsmax poll. Let us know you want Tucker on air. Text RESPOND to 39747. That's RESPOND to 39747, and we'll send you the poll. Let your voice be heard. Text the word RESPOND to 39747 and make the switch to Newsmax. Millions are watching. Texting enrolls for automated text messages. Message and data rates may apply.
We have some morning sunshine, and we are already up to 45 degrees. WIBX News Time, 7:03. This news update is brought to you by Cliff's Local Market. They keep you going. More sunshine on tap today. We do have a chance of rain showers tomorrow. We'll get a closer look at that forecast coming up in just a few minutes from Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint. The fiancé of a convicted sex offender is now herself facing charges as authorities allege that she was aware of the abuse but failed to report it to authorities. The Oneida County Sheriff's Office has charged 31-year-old Amanda Lewis of the town of Lee with 3 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. Lewis's fiancé, Michael Provost, was convicted last year on more than a dozen charges regarding sexual abuse and sexual assault of minors. Provost, also from the town of Lee, was found guilty on 7 counts of predatory sexual assault against a child and 7 counts of sexual assault in the first degree. It's alleged that Provost's victims made Lewis aware that they were being sexually abused by her fiancé, but authorities believe she did not report or intervene, allowing that abuse to continue. After being arraigned on the charges, which are Class A misdemeanors, Lewis was released on an appearance ticket. Authorities say an order of protection has been issued on behalf of the victims. Onondaga's county executive, Ryan McMahon, issuing an emergency order aimed at banning the transfer of migrants to the county. Under that order, hotels and other properties won't be allowed to temporarily house any migrants. He says the reason for the decision is due to neither the county nor social services agencies having the financial resources or space to deal with a high number of migrants. Oneida County took similar action on the matter last week. Traveling to and from the nation's capital from the capital region will get a lot easier this year. Southwest Airlines says it'll be offering direct service from Albany International to Reagan International beginning on July 11th. Southwest is the largest carrier at Albany International Airport and handled over 600,000 arriving and departing travelers last year. For a list of fares and a flight schedule, visit southwest.com. Syracuse women's lacrosse punching its ticket to the Final Four after picking up a huge win on their home field. Olivia Adamson led the Orange in scoring with 4 goals. Her team defeated James Madison 13-7 at the JMA Wireless Dome yesterday. The Orange now have a record of 18 wins, 2 losses. They'll play Boston College next week for a chance to play in the national championship game. And the Mega Millions and Powerball jackpots on the rise, as they always seem to be. They're now sitting around a combined $294 million. Whoever is the lucky person to win Mega Millions tonight gets a prize of $132 million, a mere bag of shells. And the jackpot for the Powerball tomorrow night is $162 million. Again, peanuts. The cost of a ticket to play each game is just $2. Both drawings will be streamed live online. Bill, I said this never gets old, and it doesn't. Sunny, warm, love it.
Yeah, although we've had some. Yesterday was really nice. The Wednesday was not so nice. But listen, it's gonna be a nice weekend.
It was decent in the sunshine.
Yesterday was beautiful in the sunshine.
Yes, I was talking about Wednesday, but yeah, it's better than rain though.
Well, you would know. You're out there umping in the middle of all this. You know better than anybody.
And I'm looking forward to another great day of baseball this afternoon. Here's what you can expect from Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint.
I'm Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint in the WIBX Weather Center today. Mainly sunny, breezy, turning warm, increasing clouds late, but mostly dry through evening, near 75. Tonight, mainly cloudy, some showers, low 52. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, rain showers likely, even a few thunderstorms in the afternoon. Breezy, cooler, but overall mild, near 65. For more on your local forecast, tune to Eyewitness News at 6 on WUTR. I'm meteorologist Craig Flint on WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM.
We have sunshine, 49 degrees, WIBX News Time, 7:07. All right, maybe it was a big season-turning comeback the other night for the Mets. They did win their rubber match against the Rays, a final of 3-2 yesterday. Tyler McGill earned his 5th win of the year after striking out 4 batters, allowing 2 runs over 6. Pete Alonso went deep for the 3rd straight game after his big game winner on Wednesday night, his 16th home run of the season yesterday. The Mets are now 3rd in the NL East at 22-23. They begin a 3-game series as they host the Cleveland Guardians tonight at Citi Field. The Yankees topped the Blue Jays. They've won 3 of their last 4, and they took the series against the Jays. Yesterday's final 4-2, Nestor Cortez credited with the victory. He struck out 6, allowing 2 runs over 6 innings. Aaron Judge, his 12th home run of the season in the 1st inning, and Anthony Volpe went deep in the 9th for his 7th of the year. Did Judge do the side-eye thing again for his home run?
I believe not.
No, I don't think he did either. New York is now 4th in the AL East at 26-20. They visit the Cincinnati Reds to start a 3-game series beginning tonight. The New York Giants, yes?
Did you mention the Mets?
I did.
Did you see who they're bringing up today?
Who?
Gary Sanchez.
Oh, no.
Listen, he's been hitting it up in AAA.
They had until today to either opt out of his contract or bring him up to the big league.
You know what they need right now? They're looking for right now? Even if there's somebody who could be hot for a month, the guy's fighting for his life in baseball. They need somebody that can hit the ball. And last 2 games, we're hitting the ball a little bit. Alonso's on fire.
You know, there are several catchers around the Mohawk Valley who could show Gary Sanchez a few things about plate work and how to receive a ball and actually catch a ball. I know he does drop some bombs occasionally. The Giants and cornerback Deonte Banks agreeing to terms on a rookie contract. They announced the signing of their first-round pick, who was selected 24th overall. Second-round center John Michael Schmitz from Minnesota is now the only 2023 draft pick that remains unsigned. The Jets creating more cap space after restructuring the contract of defensive end Carl Lawson. The 27-year-old was guaranteed was due a non-guaranteed $15 million, but now he has a base of $9 million with $8 million guaranteed. Anyway, he has $3 million more available in incentives. Quickly, a couple of other things. We're going to touch base with Scott in Kirkville. We'll give you some insider picks for the Preakness this weekend. It's the second leg of the Triple Crown and is happening tomorrow. The city of San Francisco is expected to host Super Bowl 60. At the PGA Championship, Round 1, Eric Cole. Who? Eric Cole is leading the way after play was suspended in the first round yesterday. He was 5 under through 14. Bryson DeChambeau sitting alone in second place at 4 under par. NASCAR All-Star race this weekend. And Rafael Nadal pulls out of the French Open because of injury.
I'm going through the Rome Sentinel has a story on the Hennessy issue.
Okay.
And thank you, Davey. Somebody else had told me about it. And I'll read just a little bit from it. But in one case, one of the abnormalities that becomes an issue that anybody would contest.
Right.
And maybe Hennessy says I wouldn't contest anybody's signatures. Okay. But, this is something that happens every campaign. And it's not just one candidate. It is many. They challenge their opponents' petitions. And in this case, one of the problems was, and it is a big problem, I feel. But when Hennessy added the caption, he has to add his address. When he wrote his address, he himself did not write his correct home address on the caption of the petition. He wrote that he lives on Lakeshore Road when his registration is actually Lakeshore Drive in Blossville. So that was an error. Now,
how does that happen?
You got to get, all of this stuff has to be correct.
Mike, how does that happen?
Here's a quote. I believe this is Hennessy. I have no idea which signatures, and this might be the judge. He's attempting to restore. Oh, no, this is Burns. Said at the May 17th hearing in response, here's the decision. Clark took time to review her notes and consult with the attorneys and then returned to announce her decision. The case was dismissed. Clark said she made the decision based on analysis and arguments of counsel and because she needed to follow case law. And in the story, in a Thursday interview with Bill Keeler, that was us, Hennessy said he is unsure if he'll be appealing the decision. I was very surprised by that. I would have thought he would say, I'm absolutely appealing. And I get it. It probably, hiring attorneys and that sort of thing, you got to hire attorneys, I guess.
Right. And
I think he probably could represent himself. I don't know. And then I have one more person piping in here on what happened. So they're saying it had nothing to do. Let's see. Okay, here it is. So, okay, and then this person is telling me that's also not the issue. The story in the Rome Sentinel must be wrong. It says, Pacenni's attorney used a new case law example and said it applied to this case. And the way the lawsuit was written, it's not exactly the same. So that is now an appealable issue. But that's why Judge Clark threw it out. I love your show, but the ruling had nothing to do with witnesses. So do you feel still confused?
I do.
And maybe it's because we don't have a legal mind, although Scott McNamara has agreed that he might consider me for his new law firm.
Well,
as an attorney.
Maybe to make the commercials, to advertise it.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what he was talking about. And this person says you don't have to subpoena a witness to appear. And that wasn't the issue anyway, so...
Yeah, so that actually kind of surprised me if you would have to subpoena them. Look, I understand the point of trying to bring some folks in because essentially he was saying, look, it says Bill Keeler signed here. You're disputing this, and Bill Keeler's right here to tell you, yes, I did sign, and I intended to sign for the candidate.
Greeley Ford, we're talking about Scott not having the ability to listen because he's out in Syracuse, in that region. Greeley, I said, Greeley's in Florida listening right now, and Greeley has said that is not true. So I've got another thing wrong. I'm in Virginia today.
Good morning, Greeley.
So Greeley's all over the place, but listening in Virginia. Quantum computers. Couple on quantum. This is good. In a nutshell, quantum computers use atoms, so the smallest thing in the universe, as their structure to pass information rather than man-made microchips. Take quantum computing and add it to artificial intelligence, and the world is about to change. Wow.
Yeah.
And I completely agree on that. We're going to hear from Mayor Jackie Izzo coming up in a few minutes. And Jackie has great information on what's being done out at Griffiths involving quantum computing. So, but it's not something Wolfspeed is going to do now because we're not there commercially yet. And I'll let her explain that so I don't get that wrong, too.
A couple of comments via the WYBX 950 app. Of course, you can always call us or send us a message. This comes from Ralph. He says, 4 years ago, I believe that Hennessy's whole point, Bill, regarding the chip plant was that if it was allowed to be built, they would want to build a dip plant as well. FX in New Hartford says, Mike sounds that if he was on the ballot and lost, he would be on his knees screaming at the sky in front of the county office building. Again, I'm just reading these comments. Aaron in Rome says, well, that's a Stefan thing. I don't want to get into that right now.
And if I can, on the quantum computing, Wolfspeed is a company that makes chips, and that's their business. And right now, there is a shortage throughout the world. So until we get where we need to go on quantum computing, this is the technology we have today. My guess is they're going to want to parlay into additional technologies as they become available and they become viable for commercial use. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
I think that makes sense.
Steve says, God help. Oh, come on. God help us if that moron Mike Hennessy gets elected. After listening to yesterday's interview, I can't understand why anyone would endorse or vote for him. Again, I'm just reading the comment. That came from Steve C. And again, we did have a comment here that maybe Stefan got in trouble again last night.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I've heard stuff. And then one more. It was only one case law example. This is back to this, and then we'll hear more on it with Pacini when he comes on in the 8 o'clock hour.
Did you say moron again?
It was the only case example the judge relied on. 2, the witnesses' affidavits were already part of the lawsuit, and they were there in the case. In case the judge needed their testimony, no subpoenas were needed in that. So I apparently had that all wrong as to what happened. But it unfortunately just adds to the crazy confusion that was the interview with Mike Hennessy yesterday, at least from my standpoint. Okay, on the line right now is Scott in Kirkville. This weekend, the Preakness. And Scott knows his stuff when it comes to horse racing. Good morning.
Good morning. It's interesting Preakness. First of all, the time's interesting, 7:01, not 6:58. I don't know.
What now? Is it on?
After 7 o'clock, you're actually in prime time or something like that.
Is it
more for ad ratio?
Is it on NBC?
It's on NBC. They start their coverage at 4:30.
Okay.
If you want to watch the whole Pimlico races up until then, FanDuel, which is our 413 up here. It used to be TVG. If you get that, you got the whole card, and 4:30 NBC will start the race and start the races. And actually today is a nice card. If you like the Black Eye Susan Preakness double, just like the Kentucky Oaks Kentucky Derby double, there's a special double you can bet. You have to bet it today because it's the race, the Black Eye Susan, which number 9 Fazio should win it, and it's a pretty cheap, economical way of doing it. You can increments of $1, and usually it's a good payout, and then you pick the horses you like in the Preakness, and you can pay it there. A couple things, Jeff, you mentioned this last time in the Derby, that usually there's a printout, and it shows the odds. It's not, people are used to sports betting where you go and the Giants are a 7-point favorite, and that's what you're going to get.
Yep.
It's based on odds, and a lot of people just don't understand that, and they look at and it's, this horse is 50-1, I'm going to bet it, and realize it's not going to be 51 at race time because it depends on how many people bet into the pool. But that's sometimes from a novice. It's just someone's opinion what they thought the horse is going to go off.
The other part about horse racing that I completely didn't, I guess, realize is that the odds that you get. So in football, if you buy a game and you get odds, you get those odds.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what he said.
Whereas in horse racing, the odds you get when you buy the bet can change right up until race time.
Correct.
It is. It's all about money, and that's why I laugh when some people say, "Geez, I could have had that 50-1 shot." Well, if everybody bets the 50-1 shot, the horse isn't going to be 50-1. And you're absolutely right. It's a pool of money. It's that's what it is. It's
now, conversely,
how much you met, and then you divide it up, and increments usually $2 and $2 based on a $2 bet. And That's what you usually see as a win bet.
Conversely, there could be an upside because if you bet the favorite and the favorite's 4-1, and then everyone stops betting the favorite, you can get the favorite at 20-1.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So
exactly. Yeah, it works. Yeah, absolutely, it works that way. That's what they call late money. That's why you watch the board. It's interesting when you see somebody taking. It doesn't have to even be the favorite, but say someone's like 10-1, and all of a sudden you look up and right post time he's 6-1. Well, that means there's late money coming on that horse.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they call that wise guy money usually.
Okay.
And that's what you look at.
Wise guy.
Who do you?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
if you were giving advice for somebody to place a bet tomorrow, what would you give?
Well, economically, like I said, the Black Eye Susan and the Derby, but Madge, interesting. He's the one who won the Derby. Is the only horse from the Kentucky Derby running into this race, which is unique. And usually you get 3 or 4. So basically you got 7 horses that maybe were on the fringe of making the Derby. Derby's basically you can't more than 20 horses, and they have a point system. You run in certain races, and you have to earn certain points to qualify, and it's a top 20. The couple of horses that Madge is going to go off probably 7-5. His style, I don't like the style for this race. This is the shortest race of all 3 of them. And if you watch the race, he broke almost dead last. And he actually was interesting because he was in the back of the pack and worked his way up. But there's a real fast pace that made all these horses tired. I thought Two Phils, who finished second, ran a great race. And I'm surprised he's not here because he's built for this type of race.
Yeah.
Shorter distance on the lead. The horse, so he's number 3, Madge. And so he's probably the most talented horse in this field, which is not couldn't say much compared to other years. But if he doesn't win, the horses are probably going to beat him is the 7 horse Blazing Sevens, or the 8 horse, which I like, is First Mission, or the 1 National Treasure. And if you just want to do an economical box, you might want to just box those 4 horses there.
Now. Again, what a box means is again, I usually do an exacta box. You can bet an exacta. Yeah. You can say, I think the race is going to go 1-2. These are the horses 1 and 2. If you box it, they can be in any order. You don't have to pick them exactly 1-2. As long as they come in the top 2, then you
can
win.
box 2 horses.
You can box 4 horses, and as long as 2 of them come 1-2, then you win.
Yeah.
I think the way to make money in this race, unfortunately, like you said, Bill, is only 8 horses. And if the favorite wins, you could invest some money in it and probably still lose because they won the race. I'm going to play trifectas and superfectas, and you can do a superfecta for just 10 cents.
Okay.
And I do is usually key 1 horse and put them with 5 horses, and then any type of combination. If that 1 horse comes in first, second, third, or fourth with 5 horses, it's only going to cost you for the whole thing $24, and it pays out well because you're picking 4 horses in a row.
What's a couple hundred or a couple thousand?
The what? No. Well, see, the problem is
Depends
it's only 8 horses.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, for X amount of money, I could probably win this thing easily, but I'm not going to make money on the deal.
Right.
And that's why I mentioned the Black Eye Susan, which is running today, because I do like the 9 horse a lot. By the way, Bob Baffert, who cannot run in the state of Kentucky because what happened a couple of years ago, is Medina Spirit is allowed to train in Maryland, and he brings the 1 horse all the way across country, and the 9 horse and the Black Eye Susan, which to me, when you bring horses that far off, you kind of think the horses are pretty good. So if you're looking for the Bob Baffert angle, it's the 9 and the 1, 9 today, and the 1 tomorrow.
Wayne says very small field. That's what we've been talking about, and it limits your opportunities, unlike the Kentucky Derby.
Exactly.
And as you said, Madge, is that how it's pronounced?
Madge.
Yeah.
Madge. By the way, everybody pronounces it differently. Have you noticed on that one?
Yeah.
It definitely does not handle the gate well, and has problems. So so that's
why I said it's the shortest race, and he's going to have to come flying. The good part is he only has to pass 7 horses instead of 19 this time.
Yeah. Okay.
And the other thing is that it usually favors speed, and the 1 might be the fastest of all of them.
Okay.
But I like the 8. I think that's the best upset. going, and that's my key horse. I do superfectas and tries and stuff.
Okay. Well, what
that's
I
the way
see,
you make money. It's the only way you can make money on this. And the Belmont's June 10th, and if Match happens to win, look out.
That's really cool.
We have a Triple Crown situation again.
You said the 8-horse First Mission. I see them right now at 5-2, which is 2.5 to 1.
Yeah, they're
the favorite.
That's my key. That's why I have to key them in exactas and tries and superfectas, because you're right. You have to make money. That's why when I bet Angel Empire across the board, you usually in the Kentucky Derby, there's so much millions of dollars in the pools. You can bet a horse to show.
Right.
Normally, it's not going to pay that much. That paid $470. So you usually put more in the show, and then you do the win. And when you do usually cross the board, especially in a big field, knowing that you're going to get your payoff. And this race, you probably can't do it because there's only 8 horses in the race.
Only 8 to deal with.
That win, place, and show. I would put this win in place. I wouldn't bother with showing any of the horses.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Scott, man. Thank you. We appreciate it. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks,
I hope you.
By the way, just one question. Guys are talking politics. You didn't get responsible for Chuck Lester's campaign, right?
Boom.
No,
I did not do that one. Nope.
Okay,
No.
I just want to make sure you're not going to, get responsible for that one.
Chuck says he is living a happy civilian life with his grandchildren. All right, thanks,
I
man.
always enjoyed him and everybody else on the show. It's like I said, it's a great show to wake up to.
Davey's going to tell you all about the iPhone and the WIBX 950 app and watching on YouTube and all that. Davey will hook you up with that. All right. Have a great weekend,
Thanks
Scott.
again.
Thank you. Donna asks, why can't I get 950 past Canastota? This has been a long issue, and you'll be able to get us right out to there. However, if you're going to the east, you can get us out to almost Albany, and if you're going north, not so much south, because I don't think you can get us down as far as Cooperstown. But if you're going north, you can go all the way, Davey, all the way up to almost Watertown and Lowville. We boom into Lowville. That is because the FCC determined our pattern of our signal. There has to be a station to the south. There's got to be a station to the west, which that's why we have a very directional signal that the line is, and they're able to do that. The line is drawn, if you will, at Canastota. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I believe it does. So it's just the way it is. However, with the app, you can go anywhere. Logging in on YouTube, you can go anywhere.
I remember when we used to do broadcasts from the Turning Stone for the box, and we used to have trouble getting the station out there. You can you can vouch for this, can't you? For YouTube,
you can get us all the way until you stop at the light where you make the left into Turning Stone, and then once you make the left, it goes away.
It's a Utica thing, kitchen and bar. If you're having a party, you're having a get-together, you're having a graduation party, man, can they cater, and they do an incredible job. Charlie and his staff over there makes the most delicious food. I like to say that oftentimes with a tray, you order a tray for a party. It sits there and it's under the heat and it gets mushy. And I feel like with It's a Utica thing, it's almost like they made a dish just for you. It's so fresh and so good. And the restaurant, It's a Utica thing, kitchen and bar is now open. Today, open from 4 until 10, tomorrow noon till 10, and Sunday 1 till 8. Check this place out. Davey, the food's really good, isn't it?
It is, Bill. It is. And the caller called up and says it's north of Ogdensburg that you can get us.
Oh, that's. I'm not surprised. I mean, I was in Lowville, and all of a sudden scanning across to see what was, and we boomed in there. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, it's funny.
And that's, if you look at and you can find it online, you'll see our pattern, our signal pattern goes all the way up north to cover a territory that didn't have a lot of radio back in the day. There just must be some 950 competition going out to the west and to the south. So they prevent the two from clashing. Is that what it is? I think it is. 315-738-8946 is the phone number to make reservations at It's a Utica Thing Kitchen and Bar. The food, everything from the most delicious pastas handmade on the site to seafood and steaks and great apps and a full bar located in the Leland Ave Big Lots Plaza in North Utica.
Chuck Lester chiming in to say that he might have to have a throwdown with Scott now. And I'll just tell Chuck, keep enjoying the grandkids. Just do that.
Daylight Donuts, the official coffee of the Keeler in the Morning radio program. I believe, like 14 plus different delicious lattes to choose from. Coffee, espresso, iced coffee, breakfast sandwiches. They're fresh New York-style bagels every single day. And also the donuts are made right on their location, at their location, fresh every day. The drive-thru's lightning fast. Jack is on.
Hey,
hi, Jack. You're on.
Hey, Bill. Just correct you a little bit.
Okay.
There is a 950 station in Rochester.
Okay. I figured there's something out to the west that. So the reason
but
that
it has nothing to conflict with you guys. It's just your antenna settings of how your antenna is set up. Those 4 antennas on Hazel Road or whatever it is there.
Yeah.
And
but those were
the pattern that they're set up on.
But those are set up on that pattern because I believe there's a 950 in Rochester. Because if there's
a 950 in Rochester, yeah, but I don't think you would ever affect that.
Well, that's I guess that's possible.
Yeah.
But again, it is what it is. I mean, we are stuck with the signal that we have.
And when the signal went up, they didn't go, well, just put it up, and wherever it goes, it goes. There was a directional.
Like I was telling Davey, when I was up in Ogdensburg about a year or two ago, before COVID, and I was up in Ogdensburg, and I turned the radio on. I mean, you guys are blasting up there.
It's incredible. And I'll tell you something interesting, too, on the so when I worked in Little Falls early in my career, it was 1,000 watts in the daytime, and that the time changed based on the setting of the sun. So in the wintertime, we would have to lower power to 250 watts at night. And then in the summertime, we'd be able to be at high power, 1,000 watts, up until 9 o'clock at night. WTLB also was on a very directional signal at one point based on the time of day. So it's all about the regulations we have to follow. It's interesting stuff.
Right. Now, the only other thing is 106.9, you're conflicted with another radio station.
Yeah, don't get me started.
So somebody's trying to get you on FM.
Yeah.
They're not going to get
Jack.
you past Rome.
Yeah, you're bringing up a sore subject,
Otherwise,
Jack.
we're going to have a meeting this afternoon.
I'm just telling you, we're not happy about that choice. Trust me.
I know.
Because it doesn't, right? It doesn't make any logical sense, does it? Why would we choose that signal? That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
Right?
That's another story.
That's another story for another day. Okay.
Catch you guys later.
Thank you, Jack.
All right, no problem, mate.
Okay. Is Jack an engineer, Davey, or is he just an enthusiast?
Jack's the radio guy that went to
Radio
lunch
Ham.
with us.
We had lunch with him.
Right. That's Jack Rue.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, Jack. Thank you. Is he has great knowledge, though. I didn't realize he had that knowledge.
He does the ham stuff, right?
Yeah.
The ham radio stuff. It is what it is, I like to say, and that's unfortunate. Okay, I have more people piping in on the Hennessy stuff. We're going to take this in stages. Number one, on the quantum computing, something that Mike talked about 4 years ago, and the part where he is right is this is the future. Quantum computing, there's no doubt, is the future. And when it hits, when we master it, and we are working on it, believe it or not, this is something Pacenti has been working on, which is why I think that this is kind of in contrast to what Mike is complaining about, because what they're doing out at Griffiths is all about that whole research center, the Innovari, and all of that. That is all what they're accomplishing in quantum computing right now is groundbreaking. And we'll have Mayor Jackie Izzo, who's well-versed on it as well, speak about that coming up in a few minutes. Also do Hobike's free money question of the day. We'll do that in a second. River Hills Properties is the fastest-growing real estate company in Central New York. And cha-ching, is it time for you to sell your home? If it is, you're looking for a real estate agent that is going to work with you and help you and lower that stress level every step of the process, from the very beginning till the very end, and that is River Hills. They provide every prospective buyer with a book, 40 to 100 pages, filled with details about the house. They're with you on the appraisal. They're with you in the inspection. from start to finish. And yes, every time your house is shown, you don't have to worry about people walking through your home without anybody there. Maybe just another listing agent. Your listing agent, who knows all about your property, is there every single time the house is shown. Most agencies don't do that. River Hills, it's not just done for some, it's done for everybody. In Barneville, Little Falls, and Utica, online, it's riverhillspropertiesllc.com. Call 315-896-1009. Remember, nobody sells homes like River Hills Properties.
If you're in the market for a new mattress, no one in New York State has all the brands under one roof that your brand name Superstore Mattress Express has. Names like Tempur-Pedic, Stearns & Foster, Sealy Hybrid, Purple, Puffy, the Number Bed by Instant Comfort, Posh and Lavish, and more, more, more. Check out these Memorial Day deals. Any King or Queen, Tempur-Pedic, or select Stearns & Foster with adjustable base, take your pick. A giant 58-inch flat screen TV or a $300 in free bedding accessories. How about this? Any King or Queen set in the store, $9.99 or higher, other than Tempur-Pedic, get a free adjustable base upgrade. A free adjustable base upgrade. How about the Number Bed by Instant Comfort? We have the Flex Set in King or Queen, an industry-leading 25-year warranty. 5 years, no interest, no money down for qualified buyers. Then take your pick, a giant 65-inch flat screen TV, $500 prepaid gas card, or stainless steel gas grill. Go to MattressExpressNY.com or call 1-800-NEW-BEDS.
In the June primary, Rome Mayor Jackie Izzo was running to keep steady strategic leadership working for Rome. Like 6 years and counting with no tax increase, $70 million in grant funding, $325 million in public and private sector investment, plus dozens of economic development victories, all while maintaining an A-plus financial rating. Beginning with early voting on June 17th, vote for the only endorsed Republican candidate. Vote Mayor Jackie Izzo for Rome. Leadership that's working. Paid for by friends of Jackie Izzo.
The 2023 Gun and Sportsman Show with Craft and Flea Market on Friday, May 19th and Saturday, May 20th will be at the Herkimer County Fairgrounds in Frankfort. You can find all kinds of hunting and sportsman supplies, ammo, bows, fishing gear, tanned furs, antiques, wildlife, photographs, wood crafts, leather goods, gorgeous gifts, flea market treasures, food trucks, and more at the 2023 Gun and Sportsman Show with Craft and Flea Market. The 2023 Gun and Sportsman Show with Craft and Flea Market on Friday, May 19th and Saturday, May 20th at the Herkimer County Fairgrounds benefits conservation education and is sponsored by the NYS Trappers Association. Vendor booths are available for the event. To reserve yours, contact Bill Swagler at 607-222-8554 or at nystaconvention@gmail.com. Admission is only $10 per person. Kids 10 and under are free. On Saturday, military is free with ID.
Home and Hospital Medical Supply in the New Hartford Shopping Center proudly carries a wide selection of home medical equipment. Lift chairs to buy or rent, canes, crutches, walkers, powered scooters, braces, foot care products, and so much more. And if for some reason they don't carry the product you need, they'll custom order it at no extra charge. Mary and her experienced team are there to assist you Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or call them 315-724-6767 and online at HNHMedicalNY.com. Home and Hospital Medical Supplies, we make life easier.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer's skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Online at CordellCordell.com, 518-554-0000, 100 Great Oaks Boulevard, Suite 110, Albany, New York, 12203.
Those April showers could bring May hot tubs. It's about time you treat yourself to a luxurious new spa from Strong Spas. Visit their huge showroom and choose from over 100 spas in stock and priced to move fast. This summer, get ready to relax. You deserve a brand new spa from Strong Spas. Visit their ginormous showroom inside Sangertown Square, New Hartford. Special financing available for credit qualified buyers. Strong Spas. Experience the difference for yourself. Hurry, these spas won't last.
The internet can be an all-you-can-eat buffet for identity thieves.
So full.
Too many maiden names.
And social security numbers.
Where'd you find those?
By the password bar. Can't miss them.
LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss by monitoring your credit and bank statements. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
From screen printing and embroidery to promotional products and online shops, it's all under one new roof at Max's Print Shop in Marcy. Order anytime and any quantity in person or online at maxsprintshop.com. Since 1978, we pride ourselves on personally meeting every customer's need. We can take your project from design to production. And remember, Max's Print Shop will stitch anything. And we mean anything in the Utica, Rome area. Find us at 9555 River Road in Marcy or online at maxsprintshop.com.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Reading some comments here this morning. Bob, you're stupid. No, you have to understand. I'm not saying Bob is stupid. Bob is saying we're stupid. Thanks, Bob.
That we are?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Must be something he's hearing.
He just said you're stupid?
Probably got some. Well, he didn't say you're all stupid. He said you're stupid. So he's probably, considering it's coming into me, it's probably directed at me.
This is a text message or a comment?
Rob says a comment. A text message. Rob says, Bob's right. He doesn't say that. Rob says, just play your app. And Davey, you can now do this. Play your app through your phone in your car. It is nice and clear, and you can listen from anywhere. That's how Greeley is able to listen in Florida or Virginia or anywhere in between.
I'm still learning the ropes of all this.
That's
thing.
all
It's
right.
going to take me a few days.
Listen, the fact that you actually are now able to figure out how to turn the volume up, I showed you how to create an app folder as well today. We can put all the apps you don't really care about into a folder instead of deleting them.
Yeah.
They get out of your hair a little bit. All right, let's do our free money question of the day, then get Mayor Izzo on.
Can I just ask one real quick thing?
No, you can't.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
How's the camera quality and video on this? Because you
Really
know how I
good.
like to go to these meet and greets and I take pictures.
Let me tell you something. The beauty of this camera is it removes clothing from people when you. Yeah, it's something.
So if I'm standing, okay,
Oh,
good,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
I like that.
Unfortunately, at the strip clubs you go to, it puts clothing back on. That's because the bouncers grab a hold of you and kick you out of the place for putting a camera up against the rules.
No.
Okay. We're going for call. Let's make it quick. We've had 2 winners this week.
2 in a row.
I have a great question that is topical and somewhat surprising, too. We've had 2 in a row, so let's see if we can make it the trifecta. See if we can get the triple crown or the hat trick. All right, here we go.
Caller uno.
Caller number 1. First caller right now through the lines. We're going to go right to it. 315-736-0186. And then I'll grab the caller. You grab Jackie. Is the caller in on line 1? Is that the first caller? Hi, good morning. You're caller number 1. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
Good. Who's this?
This is Pat.
Okay, Pat. Which Pat are you? You're calling from where? New Hartford?
New Hartford.
Okay, Pat, New Hartford. All right, Pat, here we go. Man, I got to tell you, Hobica wins. We just keep giving away his money.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make it. Let's keep it going 3 in a row. Here's your question. Yes, Mike Hennessy talking all about quantum technology, quantum computing. Here's your question. Modern quantum theory dates back to what decade? Ready, go.
The 1950s.
Quantum theory dates back. Anybody? You want to take
1930s, 1920s?
Close, 1920s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the theory came into play, the 1920s. Yeah. Well, you don't make it a hat trick, Pat, but we will give you the Utica All-in-One Food and Fun card. Cookies, Q, and Creamery opens today, by the way, right over here in Marcy at the mini golf course.
Oh, yeah.
Palm Springs?
Yep.
And they're open in Utica. And on Tuesdays, you got to get the All-in-One Food and Fun card. On Tuesdays, it's 2 for $2 hot dogs, which means with this $25 gift card, you could buy 25 hot dogs or close to that anyway. So, stand by. Davey's going to hook you up, Pat.
Thanks, guys.
You have a great
Thank
weekend. Thank you.
You too.
The 20th century quantum theory The theory, quantum theory, was developed in the 1920s to explain the wave-particle duality observed at atomic scales and digital computers, ... and everything else I paid no attention to when I was in high school.
Yeah. So if there's an English translation to that, we'll get to that later in the program.
Yeah. But, here to talk about quantum computing, and I'll just, in a nutshell, wrap it all up here for you. This goes back to, and I really want to get answers from Mayor Izzo on this, because, and I don't want to put words in Mike Hennessy's mouth, but I'm pretty sure, and you keep me on track here, but I'm pretty sure he simply said, Wolf Speed, that's the wrong decision. By the time they open, their technology will be outdated. We should be pushing. We should be putting a plant in that is dealing in quantum computers. And here is Mayor Jackie Izzo in Rome, who is very well versed on what's going on over at the base, as some of us still call it. Mayor, is he right? Should we have, instead of a chip fab plant, should we have had a company go in there that was manufacturing quantum computing or quantum computers?
Absolutely not. And good morning, Bill.
Good morning.
We, a few years ago, Rome Lab, right here in Rome, New York, was named the lead lab for the Air Force and Space Force in quantum computing. As a matter of fact, they hold many research contracts with a lot of the universities here and the chip fabs, including Wolfspeed and soon to be Micron. Micron's basically going to be sitting on the front door of the lab, Global Foundries as well. This is the latest and greatest, IBM, and then many colleges and universities throughout the country. It's amazing, and that's really what was the impetus behind developing the Innovari Advancement Center. The county executive and the Board of Legislators, along with the rest of our leadership, we all had the fortitude and the vision to see what we needed to do to really secure this lab here and where the future lied. In the Innovari Advancement Center, which was, I think, around a $12 million or so building renovation of Building 100 to develop this, we have an actual quantum lab there, an actual replication of a lab, the same lab that's in the secure environment at Rome Laboratory. Heading up the effort here is Dr. Michael Haydick, who's a native son, and Colonel Garcia is our current director. They have just returned from the Office of Management and Budget at the White House, briefing them on the latest and greatest in quantum. They also briefed Congress. And then they moved on to Knoxville, Tennessee, to the Oak Ridge test facility, the research facility. So this is going on every day here.
Yeah.
They are actually trapping ions in the quantum lab at the Innovari Advancement Center.
Talk about, so now Jeff and I are like, oh, great, you trapped ions. Big deal. I trapped a mouse last night in a trap. But, the reality is I was actually doing some video work up there. I don't know, this was right after this opened and right after they, quote, trapped the ion. Or ions, or trapped the ion. I'll have you explain it. But this, you would have thought it was the reaction of, Columbus when he discovered the Earth wasn't flat after all. I mean, this was a major accomplishment, and everybody was all the scientists there were just so excited about what had happened. Can you talk about that?
Well, the day that they trapped the first ion, and it was a huge victory in development. Colonel Lawrence interrupted his day to call me, like almost immediately, and he was giddy. He said, "You're not going to believe it. We trapped an ion."
Wow.
He said, "This is a historical day here." So in the world of science, we're on the forefront, and we are going to, the lab is going to continue to move forward. In quantum computing, they have what they call qubits. It's going to move so quickly, it's going to revolutionize what we think of as a computer and how fast the information will move. It'll have a lot to say in the world of healthcare.
Yeah.
It just, it.
This is the
So
this is the Jackie. This is incredible, but also scary. This is all about the artificial intelligence we're talking about today, and everybody's so nervous about. We, if you look back 200 years or go back further or whatever, even 100 years during the Industrial Revolution, all of a sudden with mass production, everything changed. The world changed. Well, how could we do all of this so quickly? That is a snail in comparison to where we are today. But the next leap is, I think it's going to be hard for us to comprehend what we're talking about here.
Well, I'm at the lab quite often in my role as a civic leader, and then also as the mayor. When people come here to visit, I usually will stop over at the lab, or if they're at Innovari. And every time I'm in Innovari, I cannot believe what's going on in the labs that have been replicated from the main lab. The research that's being done, there are going to be 300 students here this summer doing internships.
Mm-hmm.
And that's through the Griffiths Institute working with the lab. It's absolutely amazing the talent that we bring in here on a year-to-year basis. And then some of them do return and work here.
So why, and this is not pick on Mike Hennessy Day, but it's clarify what the reality is of what he was trying to communicate to us. But the reality is, number one, as you said, it's already being done here. It's not that we should be doing quantum computers and quantum theory and quantum technology. It's already being done. But when I asked you, when he said we shouldn't have gone with Wolfspeed, a chip fab plant, we shouldn't have done that. And I said, should we have done quantum computing, which is what he suggested? You said no. And explain that answer.
Well, that really makes no sense. They're all tied together.
Right.
Wolfspeed, Global Foundries, Micron, IBM, Google, Microsoft, the list goes on and on. Everyone has something in their research and technology that will aid the research and technology being done for quantum computing. Eventually, quantum computing will take over all of these types of plants and machinery. It will be the basis of the system that everyone will run on. So I'm not sure what his point was, but we are at the forefront. The groundbreaking research is being done here, and these partners being in our area, the Global Foundries, Micron, Wolfspeed, that's just icing on the cake, really.
And really,
for the lab.
I would assume that if you're Wolfspeed, you're working with the technology that currently exists today, but you also have a research department that is looking to stay relevant. I mean, and
they have research agreements with, not to cut you off, but they have research agreements with the Air Force Research Laboratory. So they are both sharing knowledge between their scientists, and then the way that they are creating their products. How does that factor into how a quantum computer can help them to revolutionize and modernize their business practices and make their plants more efficient?
Mike says, in a nutshell, quantum is the hardware, AI is the software.
Well, I think that for all of us, that's probably above our pay grade.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that Dr. Michael Haydick would be very thrilled to come on and explain exactly what all of that means in layman's terms, because what I can tell you is from my knowledge, and this is a layman's knowledge, all of this matters. And eventually this is going to work its way out throughout the country. And we will be on a different platform when quantum computing actually takes over what we know as our way of life with computers.
Yeah.
And it'll be hundreds of times faster. You'll have information in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we're able to completely comprehend that at this point, but when you when you really think about how quick a computer works today versus when we first started using personal computers, I mean, I don't know. I remember trying to transfer a text, and it took forever to I'd get a report that would come down every morning for my radio show, and that was just state-of-the-art stuff, but it would take me 20 minutes to get 6 pages. And now look at where we are today. But in order for the human mind to keep up with the speed of our current computers, the software actually slows it down. I think I'm not sure we all realize that that's what actually happens for us to be able to keep up.
Right. I can think back to my days as an intern when I was in college at Rome Lab. We were experimenting with the internet, and we didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
Inside the building, and they had the rooms that housed what we would now call a data center. It was amazing how big the actual computer system was, and we've reduced that to what a sliver of that. Yeah. So that's where we are now in the next generation, which will be quantum.
So very exciting. The fact that it's being done here, and all of this has taken a great deal of insight, and I think that's why someone like me is so excited about where we are right now and where it's believed that we can go. This isn't about picking favorites. It's about, this is a very exciting time right now.
Well, it is, and the other thing I should mention is I believe this summer in July, I want to say it's our 4th conference. It's our 3rd or 4th international quantum conference that takes place here at Innovari, hosted by the Air Force Research Laboratory. There will be researchers and scientists from all over the world here. They convene for, I think, 3 or 4 days. Normally I go up and welcome them to our area and talk to them about what we have to offer while they're visiting here. But the collaboration that will happen and the speakers, the presentations that are made during that conference, they really knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
And people they vie for those positions to come in here. I think last year they had about 200 people here from all over the world.
Wow. Pretty impressive. Mayor, we appreciate the insight here. We're going to talk to the county executive on this as well coming up next hour, but thank you.
You're welcome, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Yep. Enjoy the weekend. Mayor. Beautiful weather today. And should be a beautiful weekend. Dave, you got lines ringing off the hook. We've got news coming up. We'll get into County Executive Pacini next hour, talk about that just a little bit. I do believe, though, that this kind of clarifies what Mike was talking about. And if you really think about it, this is kind of what the guy from Mohawk, we've narrowed down his name.
I think it was
you
Wilbur.
came up with a name.
Yeah,
it
just
was
like
Wilbur,
boom, all of a sudden I'm it's Wilbur.
Wilbur from Mohawk 4 years ago, and this Mike referenced this yesterday, saying that we had set him up to call, that was made to the call was to make him look bad. None of that is true. None of it is true, not even close to true. We would do anything in the world to find this guy. If you're listening out there, Wilbur, call in. I'd love to revisit the conversation. It is 7:58. Hold tight. We're coming right back. News straight ahead.
You're invited to the 2023 Glimmerglass Festival, the world-renowned summer opera and musical theater festival located just minutes from Cooperstown. Glimmerglass has been presenting innovative, rare, and familiar works of opera and classic Broadway for nearly 50 years in a summer-long celebration of the arts that's an easy day trip from anywhere in the Mohawk Valley. This year's festival runs July 7th through August 20th, with productions that speak to the aspirations, curiosity, and passions of growing up, and what can happen when life doesn't always play along. Purchase tickets today for Puccini's La Boheme, Bernstein's Candide, Gounod's Romeo and Juliet, Handel's Rinaldo, and a world premiere youth opera. Learn more at glimmerglass.org. The Glimmerglass Festival, a highlight of your summer experiences in the Cooperstown region. Hiking, kayaking, picnicking, museums, and world-class opera and musical theater. Truly a one-of-a-kind summer destination and just a short drive from anywhere in the Mohawk Valley. Join us and see for yourself why there's no place quite like Glimmerglass.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX 950 Utica Rome, W295DI Utica Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, a Town Square media station.
They're in Japan
talking about Ukraine. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Biden and other world leaders at the G7 summit call Russia's war illegal, unjustifiable, unprovoked, standing together opposing it.
The president has every expectation that unity and resolve is going to remain in place here at the G7 and beyond.
That's National Security Council spokesman John Kirby. Fox Business Network's Edward Lawrence also at the summit.
They pledged to starve Russia of technology and equipment it needs for war, as well as hold those responsible accountable for international war crimes. Reports say the Ukrainian president will make a surprise in-person visit to the talks with the G7 leaders here in Hiroshima and ask for more weapons.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is today at another summit, visiting a gathering of Arab leaders in Saudi Arabia. The U.S. military is backing off a claim that earlier this month an American drone strike in Syria killed a senior al-Qaeda leader. The family of the man killed claims he had no terrorist ties and was tending to his sheep when hit by the missile. A disaster on a highway in Oregon.
7 people were killed and multiple others were injured in a crash on Interstate 5 in Marion County, south of Portland. The accident involved 2 semi-trucks and a passenger van. One witness told a local newspaper it looked like the van had been crushed between the 2 trucks.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Shooting in Moraine, Ohio at a manufacturing plant. Police say the gunman targeted someone inside, killing him and wounding somebody else. Then the man shot himself, but he survived and is hospitalized. Days after a mass shooting in New Mexico.
Body cam footage released by Farmington, New Mexico police shows officers stopping Bo Wilson, an 18-year-old gunman who killed 3 people and injured 6 others, including 2 officers.
Something's down! Something's down! Just fire!
Officials say the teen who was killed by officers randomly fired dozens of rounds.
That's Fox's Kristen Goodwin. America's listening to Fox News.
Poor Sam was a mess. Always itching, licking. His paws were soaking wet. He had bald spots on his back. DINOVITE.com. 2 weeks after he started Dynavite, I started seeing great improvements, and today 99% of his issues are non-existent.
Dynavite is nutrition.
Dynavite is the best thing you can do for your dog.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynavite from DINOVITE.com.
Newsmax is conducting an urgent poll asking if Tucker Carlson should be on Newsmax with a primetime show. Vote in the Newsmax poll. Let us know you want Tucker on air. Text RESPOND to 39747. That's RESPOND to 39747, and we'll send you the poll. Let your voice be heard. Text the word RESPOND to 39747 and make the switch to Newsmax. Millions are watching. Texting enrolls for automated text messages. Message and data rates may apply.
All right, we have sunshine, 55 degrees, which I think tops Wednesday's high. It was nice yesterday. It was nice. I was thinking of Wednesday, but right now 55 degrees. Looking at a high today of 75. More details on the forecast coming up in just a few minutes from Eyewitness News. Topping our news this morning, first, this news update is brought to you by Country Suburban. The fiancé of a convicted sex offender is now herself facing charges as authorities say she was aware of the abuse but failed to report it to authorities. The Oneida County Sheriff's Office charging 31-year-old Amanda Lewis of the town of Lee with 3 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. That's a misdemeanor. It's alleged that Lewis's fiancé, Michael Provost, was convicted last year on more than a dozen charges regarding the sexual abuse and sexual assault of minors. Authorities believe that Lewis was aware of the abuse after being told by some of the victims, but failed to report it to authorities or intervene. She was issued the tickets for those charges yesterday and was released on an appearance ticket. Authorities say an order of protection has been issued on behalf of the victims. You can read more on that story at WIBX950.com. Onondaga's county executive, Ryan McMahon, is issuing an emergency order aimed at banning the transfer of migrants to the county. Under that order, hotels and other properties are not allowed to temporarily house any migrants. McMahon says the reason for his decision is due to neither the county nor social services having the financial resources or space to deal with a high number of migrants. Similar emergency orders were enacted in other parts of upstate recently, including in Oneida County last week. Traveling to and from Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, is getting a bit easier based on a change for the capital region. Southwest Airlines says it'll be offering direct service from Albany International to Reagan International beginning on July 11th. Southwest is the largest carrier in Albany, and starting July 11th, they say they handle over 600,000 arriving and departing travelers last year. For a list of fares and a flight schedule, you can find that at southwest.com. Mega Millions and Powerball jackpots on the rise. They're now sitting at a combined $294 million. Mega Millions is coming up tonight with a grand prize of $132 million. The jackpot for Powerball, which will be drawn tomorrow, is $162 million. The cost of a ticket is $2, and both drawings are streamed online. Another day of sunshine and warmth. It's not getting old, though. Full details on your forecast from Eyewitness News.
I'm Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint in the WIBX Weather Center today. Mainly sunny, breezy, turning warm, increasing clouds late, but mostly dry through evening, near 75. Tonight, mainly cloudy, some showers, low 52. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, rain showers likely, even a few thunderstorms in the afternoon. Breezy, cooler, but overall mild, near 65. For more on your local forecast, tune to Eyewitness News at 6 on WUTR. I'm meteorologist Craig Flint on WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM.
In sports, the Mets get another win, a back-to-back victory. That's been a while since we've said that. They took the series.
They took a series.
Yeah.
I don't think that's happened in the month of April, in the month of May, by the way.
3-2 as they beat the Rays yesterday, and that's a good ball club. Tyler McGill earned his 5th win of the season, striking out 4 over 6. Pete Alonso went deep again, the 3rd straight game. He's now got 16 dingers on the year. The Mets are 22-23. They begin a 3-game set as they host the Cleveland Guardians at Citi Field tonight. The Yankees have won 3 of their last 4. They held off the Jays yesterday, 4-2 in Toronto. Nestor Cortez picked up the victory. Aaron Judge homered, his 12th of the season in the 1st inning, and Anthony Volpe went deep in the 9th for his 7th of the year. The Yankees now 4th in the AL East at 26-20. They visit the Cincinnati Reds for the start of a 3-game series tonight. The Super Bowl could be heading back to San Francisco. The Athletic reports San Francisco is expected to be awarded the rights to host Super Bowl 60, which is in 2026. The official vote is scheduled to take place next week with the expectation that the game will be played at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. First round of the PGA Championship action was suspended yesterday. Somebody you've probably never heard of is in first place. Eric Cole was 5 under par through his first 14 holes when action was suspended. Bryson DeChambeau sitting alone in second place at 4 under par. Tennis star Rafael Nadal pulling out of the French Open for the first time since his 2005 debut. The 14-time champion announced he's withdrawing because of injury and also said that next year will be his last playing tennis professionally. The 148th running of the Preakness Stakes gets underway this weekend. The 1 3/16 mile race is the second leg of the American Triple Crown and will take place on Saturday at the historic Pimlico Racecourse in Baltimore. Mage, I believe that's how we're saying it? Mage?
How do you say it, Tony? Because I only do what you tell me to do.
Well, I'm not going to tell you now.
Okay, all right, that's it. That's it.
Mage.
They've canceled the race.
I believe it is Mage.
It is Mage.
All you know what it meant to a lot of people a couple of weekends ago? Money. Yeah. There are those who made some money, which you do not have the same opportunity this weekend with the Preakness.
All-Star race this weekend for NASCAR. What else did I want to mention here? Playoffs last night. I was pulling for the Lakers, too. The Denver Nuggets moved 1 win closer to their first ever appearance in the NBA Finals. Jamal Murray and the Nuggets surged through the second half to defeat the Lakers 108-103 in Game 2. Murray paced Denver with 37 points. Nikola Jokic contributed another triple-double, 23 points, 17 boards, and a dozen dimes. Coming up tonight, Game 2 of the Heat Celtics. Miami, on the road, currently has a 1-0 series lead. And Commanders fans in football are still waiting for the sale of their favorite team to be finalized. A league official saying yesterday that NFL owners will not vote on the Washington Commanders sale during their meetings next week in Minnesota. Interesting talking a bit about the Washington Commanders here because there was a story this week that we told you about. The Waterville Central School District currently the Indians. Team name, mascot, logo, etc. Their voters, with the school budget vote, voted for a change. They had 4 options, and they went with the Eagles. You can read that story on our website at WIBX950.com. Also, find a gallery of about 24 other schools in central New York and the region who will likely have to make a change as well. If they don't commit to making a change by the end of the 2024-25 school year, they actually could lose state funding and school officers.
I wanted to, we talked about Mike Hennessy, and we're going to get into it with County Executive Anthony Pacini coming up in a second. But did you know that the Constitutional Caucus, which they had a few candidates that were running, a couple that were running for school board in Utica, and they got spanked. Do you know they have a new newsletter that is out?
No.
So Piacentino is the chairman, I believe, of the. Did you know that?
I didn't know his exact title, but I believe
chairman.
He's
Joe Gelati is marketing. Secretary Kim Morrissey. Treasurer is Bowden Rabarski. Do you know that person? No. Community relations, James Zecca. Do you know that person? Ever heard of that person?
I'm familiar with Jim. Yes.
And Tim Trent is the treasurer.
Oh, yeah?
So it's like a throwback. A lot of classic names there. But what I thought was interesting, and we talked about this with Bob Cardillo, and they are all in on Bob. Now, while he says he may not be all in with them, there are people that support him. He's all over this newsletter as he outlines his programs to assist senior population in the city. And, I guess if I'm Bob Cardillo, I want to get as much exposure as I can in the upcoming race, right? But they also endorsed John Martoscia, who, for God's sakes, this is a thing that Jim Zecca's running for a county seat.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, their endorsement of John Martoscia, he was beaten by Sue Arcuri. This whole thing, I feel like the whole Board of Education vote in Utica was a microcosm of what is going on right now as they're trying to infiltrate and take over the Republican Party in Oneida County. County Executive, do you feel there's an attempt underway?
Well, there's been an attempt for the last, really a few years. It's not new,
right?
But it's if it's taken another level or whatever. But there comes a point where you look at the numbers and when you keep getting defeated,
they're not winning.
Think about what are we doing?
Yeah.
Did you get my text the other night? By the way, it was an old reference. It was. I think this will go over the younger generation, go over their head. But we were talking about something, and I said maybe they should change their name to the Tomato Can Conservatives, because just like one of those boxers, they just take loss after loss, and they, it is what it is. It is what it is, and that's not my opinion. That is reality here.
Well, I just feel like getting into this group is very focused on ideology, and it's an all or nothing group, and that's it. It's their way or else they want to. And I feel like their goal is to tip the table over, blow everything up, and that's certainly what they were trying to do with the Utica School Board.
So, and again, let's see if I'm understanding this correctly, and. For a few of their members who reach out to me occasionally, I'll say good morning because I know you're listening. But I just want to, if I'm wrong about that, if there's an election that one of your candidates has won or that you backed and you did well in, I will certainly mention it. But essentially in the Utica School Board race, those were candidates who were pro Bruce Karam. Am I wrong on that? Is that your understanding as well?
It seemed like it was very convoluted. So it involved supporting Bruce because they did. Each of them did. I don't think Mrs. Greco was necessarily a part of that. But everybody has their own inspiration on why they were running. But for the most part, that group was supporting Bruce Karam, but at the same time very anti-Hobica. So I think the influence from the Constitutional Caucus was anti-Hobica.
Right, okay, so if you're anti-Hobica, then you would have to be pro-Karam.
You must be pro-Karam,
right.
And so it was almost
the
like
enemy of my enemy is
two groups
that
that seemed to be involved, and that's exactly right. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I think,
And there is this infiltration into some current races, including yours. And if there is a race, and Mayor Izzo in Rome, her opponent is being
Lanigan is constitutional
well, they
caucus?
carried petitions for him.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we say this often, and I use the phrase often. You just can't have it both ways. You can't say we're not, and look, maybe it's me. I've never waffled. I don't think, if I have, tell me where it is, because usually I say who I'm with, who I'm not, what I think, and but you can't have it both ways. You can't say you're not, and to the point of, my opponent at this point or in time or, did have their support. So they're willing to support, and the other thing is it's kind of interesting. So they're willing to support, they talk about Republican principles and all this. Their problem with me is that 10 years ago I endorsed Andrew Cuomo.
When he was pouring buckets of money into our community.
Which, I'd like, there's days I'd like to have that one back.
Yeah.
but it's okay to endorse a, lifetime Democrat who endorsed and supported Democrats throughout the entire career. So it's hypocritical.
The other part of this is very interesting is the support for someone like Sue Arcuri and even going back to their support for Dave Gordon. I mean, this stuff. I mean, do we have any morals left? Is there anything out there that involves decency, or is it push your agenda no matter who gets hurt, no matter how disgusting and immoral something might be? It blows my mind. I always thought that conservatives and conservatives who I know are good people who would not go down some of the roads that these people have gone down. Well, those are not conservative values.
No, that party has taken a complete turn. I mean, in terms of what it always stood for, and now what it does stand for.
And not to say that there aren't conservatives in there who are still very conservative, and there are. But it seems that this effort is overtaken that local party, and it's a problem. So we're going to talk more about that. The other thing is, this week we had these are not my words. This week we had two very opposing opinions. We had somebody on the radio that said, "Hear me now, Tony Picenti is the best county executive Oneida County has ever had." 2 days later, we had someone on the radio, and this is not me, I'm quoting someone else, "Tony Picenti is the worst county executive we have ever had." So there are two contrasting opinions out there, and we'll discuss it coming up. 8:18 at WIBX.
It's the greatest pop rock of the 60s and 70s. The Happy Together Tour 2023. August 2nd at the Stanley Theater. Starring the Turtles, Little Anthony, Gary Puckett and the Union Gap, the Vogues, the Classics 4, and the Cowsills. Get tickets at the Stanley Theater box office, Ticketmaster.com, or by calling 315-724-4000.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Spring is on the way, and if you're looking to make the most of it in a new RV, camper, boat, or trailer, then look to Mohawk Valley FCU. Right now, you can get up to 120-month financing for as low as 5.74% APR for any new recreation vehicle. That's 120 months of financing for as low as 5.74% APR. Go to MohawkValleyFCU.org for more info and to apply today. Mohawk Valley FCU, member-focused, member-driven.
Refresh and renew your home this spring with Little Falls Lumber. They're fully stocked with secondary grade metal in all colors and 12-foot lengths. An affordable option for fixing utility sheds, roofs, or garages. Looking for lumber and tired of the warped pieces from the big box stores? Then go to Little Falls Lumber, where they stock only premium grade lumber. Stop in to one of their 3 convenient locations: Little Falls, Syracuse, and Schenectady. Little Falls Lumber, helping you refresh and renew this spring. Call 315-823-2470 or visit littlefallslumber.com.
I can't take this kitchen any longer. Carl, we need to start looking for a new house.
Honey, you know the housing market is tight. It's going to be next to impossible to find something that we like.
I know, but this kitchen has to go.
Hey, what about a home equity loan from Adirondack Bank? We can turn the equity from our home into cash to renovate, just the way you want.
Renovate?
Adirondack Bank has competitive rates, and they've been a trusted community bank for decades.
A new kitchen. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Then, of course, we would need new furniture, and we could repair the deck, even add a pool, and take that trip to Italy that we've always talked about.
Whoa, slow down, honey. Let's go talk to the experts at Adirondack Bank about that home equity loan. Then we can decide where to start.
I've always wanted to add on a craft room, and our bathroom needs a facelift.
Don't move. Improve. Stop into your local Adirondack Bank branch for more information on a home equity loan or visit AdirondackBank.com. Bank local with Adirondack Bank, your hometown community bank. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
No matter where you live, what you make, or who you voted for, there are some things that will impact all of us soon. Whether you're concerned about the alarming increase in man-made disasters, financial institutions collapsing, or worsening food shortages, Americans are preparing in numbers not seen since World War II. What's changed is how we prepare. And the folks at My Patriot Supply have made it easier than ever for you to have peace of mind, knowing you're ready for what's next. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com and stock up on over a dozen emergency food kits. These include tasty breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks, fruits, veggies, meats, and snacks, averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Get at least one kit per person. As we all know, calories equals energy equals survival. My Patriot Supply food kits are in stock and shipped discreetly. We've seen too many Americans let down by institutions we used to trust. It's time to rely on ourselves. MyPatriotSupply.com. MyPatriotSupply.com.
River Hills Properties remains the fastest growing real estate company in Central New York. This is Bill Keeler. When my wife and I decided we were selling our home, we chose River Hills Properties for several reasons. One of them because the listing agent is there every time we show the house. That made all the difference in the world. The book, 30 to 100 pages filled with everything about the house, from the furnace, the warranties, everything was there. If you're looking to sell your home, contact Bill and Robin Monjo at River Hills Properties. Nobody sells homes like River Hills. Bonneville, Utica, and Little Falls.
Hi, I'm Pete from Big Apple Music, and whether it's your home or business, you have a lot invested. In the past, a camera surveillance system was an expensive luxury. Big Apple has now made it affordable. Big Apple is the area's leader when it comes to camera surveillance systems, having installed hundreds locally in homes and businesses. Big Apple is New York State licensed for security and camera surveillance, with most of our products sourced from American companies. Featuring Starlight Night Vision, our cameras dollar for dollar have the best night vision available. A camera surveillance system can offer full property coverage. It prevents and reduces crime, monitors high-risk areas like parking lots and showrooms, and Big Apple has a fully set-up showroom to give you real-time, realistic demonstrations of just how great a camera system can be for you. Stop in and see for yourself at Big Apple Music in New Hartford.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
In studio, County Executive Anthony Pacini, and I'm gonna get see if this actually is right, because in style you're always I'm envious of your of his style. He dresses so well, but your collar's screwed up in the back.
I was just going to say, he's kind of got your collar today. Your collar's up.
I threw the jacket on when I came in.
My collar's screwed up too?
Well, your collar's up intentionally over there, Fonz.
That's right. I'm Elvis.
Elvis going on there.
That's right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. I didn't know.
Well, listen, I'm just saying. I don't want people saying his style's not that good.
Not that good. He's a mess this morning.
All right.
Listen, can I just say? I mean,
you can.
I'd rather have Davey interview me this morning than either one of you guys. Is that possible?
Man, that just went south yesterday, and you know what? I want you to know this has nothing to do with how I feel about you. I like the guy, Mike Hennessy. But he doesn't like me. And I'm going to tell. So who don't I like?
He doesn't like me. That's for
sure.
He
does not like
That's
you.
for sure.
You know who I don't like? People who don't like me. It's really very simple.
That's true.
It's kind of simple. And
I didn't have a problem with him. He had a problem with me.
That's
that's funny.
And we would be and I didn't. There's no way I could have created what happened yesterday. So the person that said he just does this for ratings is ridiculous. I did like the woman who came on our website and said, "You give it to him, Mike. You're the one with all the knowledge." It's like, okay, if you took that away from that interview, that's perfectly fine. But I sadly feel that he put on a display yesterday that made people step back and say, so this is what it would be like if you were county executive. And that is not a good look.
Well, you know, there's a long history there, obviously, with us because he was on the board of legislators when I became county executive back when in 2007. So I've seen all sides of or that side of Mike Hennessy many times.
Well,
can you imagine the ratings though on Friday mornings when we have the county executive in? If it's Mike Hennessy,
That's right.
I mean, this would be the most popular show in the state of New York.
Yeah, well, they're all like yesterday. You're right. So and even making accusations that we're setting callers up to call in, and I cannot tell you if there's a, I couldn't tell you if you didn't call up somebody and say, hey, call in when he's on. I have no clue of any of this. It's possible that the person who called in was not, and this goes back 4 years, was not the person who he said he was. I have no clue, but he sounded like he knew what he was talking about, and it's a topic I know nothing about, quantum computers. But it turns out...
quantum computing.
Computing, yes.
Yes.
Because
there's a difference.
The Manaski has called us on that.
Yes.
Well, during Mike's conversation yesterday. Right. The problem is this quantum theory is being developed already right here.
We built, one of our prime projects during the pandemic, actually it started before and continued, was Innovari. In Innovari, it was a collaboration between the Air Force Research Lab, the Griffiths Institute, SUNY, us, I mean, and in order to have an open campus regarding quantum computing and developing that. And Griffiths Institute really, Heather Hage and her group has done a great job, has expanded on that. But again, it's the Air Force Research Lab that is the prime right now, and there are other companies that are doing it.
Because we're not commercially there yet, right?
No, I mean, but it's being done. I mean, I don't know, and it has been. It's been being done for a number of years.
Our question this morning was the theory, quantum theory, dates back to what decade? 1920s.
It does. It dates back to the
atomic,
20s, when the first computers, as they called them, were developed.
Yeah. So with that said, it's already being done. But why? I think his comment, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I believe he was criticizing Wolfspeed coming into Marcy because that's outdated. And how do you respond to that?
Well, I let Wolfspeed respond to that because they're the experts. But silicon carbide, I mean, the world's largest silicon carbide fab, the world's largest. I mean, why would they invest billions of dollars in a technology that's outdated? And it's clearly not outdated when you look at the electric vehicles that and the systems that they're putting in place. So again, there are a lot smarter people on that than I am, and so I leave it to them.
He did go so far yesterday as to call you the worst ever county executive.
And that one hurts a little bit. You're in this business, and you know it at the polls. I mean, there was, but last time I won, against him. I got 70% of the vote, so there were 30% of the people that voted that didn't think
may agree with him.
That may agree with him. So you know that going in. Now, I mean, I really, when he says the worst county executive, I pretty much knew most of them. I mean, I don't think thought they were all good. So if I'm the worst, that's pretty bad.
How many county executives has Oneida County?
Actually, 10 elected. There were a couple interims in between in there, but 10 that were actually elected.
Okay. I do feel that, and my take on all of this, because you don't pay me to say things.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Town Square doesn't pay me to say things. We've never been told what to say and what not to say ever. But I just feel like I said this earlier. I'm a constituent.
Sure.
I'm a taxpayer like everybody else, and
so am I.
And I have opinions in where this community is going, and I feel we're moving in a very favorable direction. And part of that credit I give to you. So that isn't something I'm paid to do. It is something. It's just how I feel. But my opinion is simply my opinion. Other people can call in here and have differing opinions, and we may debate back and forth. We may get a little fiery, but at the end of the day, that's what we are doing here. That's what this program is.
Yeah, and I know we have, look, when we say that, I know there's people that, I talk to that, there's a lot of things in particular they don't agree with that I have stood for or have done.
Might be
but
raising the sales tax.
I never raised the sales tax. Actually, I lowered the sales tax.
I'm talking about the story earlier in the week. There's a little something.
You know what? The story of the last few days really is telling, and there needs to be a couple clarifications because, I think the point here is I did not sue Mr. Hennessy.
Yeah.
And nor did my campaign, nor did anything. I mean, the issue of
we talked about this
the
a little
petitions,
bit this morning.
The issue of that is that we challenge those to the Board of Elections as proper process of what has to be done if you want to do that. Then it's up to the Board of Elections, and then the Board of Elections made that determination. Didn't accept all of our objections, but accepted a majority of them, which then warranted or made the decision to remove him because of it fell below the threshold.
Now, some would say you put the Board of Elections there. You put those people in place. So of course they're going to.
I did not. I mean, I had something to do with the Republican because the
Right.
Republican Party puts the commissioner in place. Not have anything to do with the Democrat commissioner whatsoever, and wouldn't. So that's all nonsense. But that's where he and others, when the system works in their favor, it's good. When it doesn't work in their favor, it's corrupt. And,
so what
that's
is
the other point?
What is the process?
So the process
by the way, some things were said about Judge Clark yesterday that were very.
Judge Clark is probably one of the best, if not the best Supreme Court judges we've seen in time here.
What was her decision?
And there's others, obviously. Well, here's the point. I mean, to go through it. So you have to file petitions. And, my point, from weeks ago was he's done this a number of times. He should know how to do it. And the people he's got, supporting him should know how to do it. Now, you file your petitions. At that point, the opposing campaign, in this case, has the ability to file objections. You start by filing what are called general objections, just so you put a hold on them for a period of time, so that you've notified the board you're objecting. You've got 3 days from the time of that initial objection after those petitions have been submitted, because they have to be submitted, stamped in. You file general objections. You have 3 days in which then to file specific objections, and those specific objections have to be just that, specific. You have to go through all of the signatures and remove the ones that you believe that you believe are invalid, whether it's address, whether it's name, whether it's signature, whether it's
even
registration, duplicates, whether it's all of that, and then you submit that. You submit that to the board, and then the board has a period of time in which to then go through your objections to see if they are valid and determine whether or not what that number is, and then that's what took place here. So they did that, and then they came up with, we had objected, I think, to a little over 800 of his signatures. They accepted, I think, 585 of those, which still kept him under the 1,000 necessary to get on the ballot.
By
14, I think, 13 or 14, whatever the number was. So, but the real number is 585.
Right.
That's what was invalid, or determined to be invalid. So at that time, the board makes that determination. By law, they can do that. Now it's in the hands of that person who's been removed to determine what course of action is next. That's when he chose to sue. He sues not, he names the objector, the person who objected on behalf of our campaign, because it can't be the candidate. But he sues the Board of Elections because they made the determination. So that's where the process starts legally. So that lawsuit comes from that end.
So he appealed. He went to court.
No,
and
he sued. No,
he
didn't
sued.
appeal. He sued.
Okay.
He filed suit against the board.
And then Judge Clark threw it out for what reason?
For specificity, because if you're going to go back in on those objections that we've made, which is part of the record. Actually, it's the Board of Elections objections based on ours. You have to go in and be specific in terms of what those. So if it says Jeff Manaski lives at 123 Main Street, and I say Jeff Manaski lives in 125 West Street or whatever it is, then you have to be specific and say, no, he's still a registered voter. He moved. If that's the case, you have to then
the paperwork you file,
right,
must be specific and
specific,
then you can have a
and
witness.
Must be like any other court.
Yeah.
If you're going to bring in witnesses, you got to tell them. So there were no, so when they went into, the court with the attorneys that represented the county board, the attorney that represented Pat O'Brien from my campaign, and then his attorney. Then it's determined, okay, we'll have a hearing. Well, the two attorneys objected, saying, we don't know what we're objecting, what we're going to be, determining, because we haven't seen anything. We don't have anything. And so it was specificity as determined by law. I'm not a lawyer, so I've said that repeatedly. I want to be clear.
I had it explained to me yesterday, and I butchered it today.
Yeah, so it was about the specificity of the objections going back in, and so that's
now he has the ability to reappeal, and
you appeal
or
on
not
that,
reappeal,
you appeal,
but to
or
appeal.
to appeal on that decision.
Right. Okay. Let me ask you if I could. So to appeal Judge Clark's decision to throw it out based on that, could he? No.
Well. You appeal her decision to the appellate division.
Yep.
But it's based on what she had decided in terms of specificity.
Right.
And as I understand it, and if there's election lawyers out there listening that want to correct me, as I understand it, if they say, no, she did the right thing, if he does appeal, and they say, no, she was absolutely right, we agree with it, done. Or they say, no, she should have done something else. It goes back to her court.
Can he now, no matter what happens, is he able to sue again over the signatures that were thrown out?
No.
This could end the whole thing.
Right.
Okay, Manaski.
Let's see. How did a Brandon Williams staffer get roped into this? This is what we're talking about, the objection.
I've answered that before. I mean, first of all, Pat O'Brien, a young man who actually worked previously for Claudia Tenney. And 4 years ago, I think he had started right around that time, but he was involved in the Oneida. He actually is, I believe, the chairman, I could be wrong, of the Oneida County Young Republicans, and he's involved in the state Young Republican team. He helped my campaign in 19, and he helped it again this time. So nobody got roped into anything. He's a volunteer. He's a young man who, like a lot of others, and we want more young people in government and in our party. That's part of the drill. he wasn't roped into anything. He's been an active member of my, call it the campaign team, even when he was working with Claudia, which, and I talked to her about this. I mean, and it was unfortunate. They say he got fired for other reasons. I have my suspicions, but it's unfortunate. Nobody got roped into anything. He chose to do that. He chose. He said, "I'll object," because he was one of the ones who looked through these with us.
Did he get fired because he brought the petition over while he was on the clock with Brandon Williams?
He did not. The argument about him filing, the actual objections, they were filed by my campaign staff, not by him. At that, I know we talked about 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yes,
he was there. He was not. He was signed as the objector. It's not unlike anything else that you can sign as something and then
so
it gets
he didn't
served.
do the actual
He didn't
delivery.
do that. He
okay.
did file, I believe, the original
right
objection. Now, I'm assuming, and I believe he took his time. I mean, which again, all you had to do is drop it off.
If you listen to the rhetoric about this whole thing and the people going back and forth, it is the Constitutional Caucus that is complaining about this kid.
Well, they argued that he was in violation of the Hatch Act, which if you're a federal employee, it doesn't apply. That's not the issue.
And I got to tell you that when we had Brandon Williams on, he was quite aggressive in the way he reacted to this kid. So whatever they complained to him, he is bought into it.
A follow-up here. So it's being alleged now that, let's see.
You're trying to get past the F words? I don't know.
Is the Republican commissioner the daughter of a board member?
No.
Okay. Well, then there you go.
No.
I feel like sometimes when I'm asked to ask a question via the app,
I went through this.
It's not a legitimate question. It's a way to put somebody else in a bad situation. So I was picking.
I remember
choosing.
4 years ago in this studio, Mike complained about my sister, who had been in the Board of Elections for 30+ years, who's since retired. So
you must have put her there.
Yeah.
While you were working with Stop DWI.
30 some years ago.
Okay.
40 years ago now. I think it was. But she's no longer there. She's retired. So it's, this conspiracy theories. The Constitutional Caucus. It's interesting because these are the guys that that want to look at the 2020 fraudulent election. They ought to look at these petitions that they supported and sent in on behalf of or with Mr. Hennessy that fly in the face of fraud and of improper election. You want to talk about how elections should be run? Do it the right way. And I'm not. I said this before, but I'm not apologizing for this. This is his fault. He knows. He's run numerous times. I'm not apologizing. People say I don't want an opponent. That's not the case. I've ran against him. I've run against him. And I've run against him again. Do it the right way. But why should I follow? And look, you've had all of the candidates on throughout this system. Jackie Izzo filed petitions.
Yep.
Her opponent filed petitions.
That was my point yesterday. Everybody else has had to.
Mike Galimi, Bob Cardillo, Frank DeBrango, Celeste Friend. They all did them. They all did them the right way.
When it was raining and when
Jim
it was
Zecca.
yeah.
Well, but Jim, in fact, but nobody wants to talk about it. Jim at first tried to challenged Tim Julian's petitions. Nobody wants to talk about that because that was okay though. That would have been okay.
Well, we would have brought it up.
That would have been okay.
It, to be honest
it didn't go anywhere, but that was okay though. See, it's okay when it applies to them. Again, this is my my problem with them isn't what they they can do their thing and that's fine, but don't be hypocritical and don't wet down my back and tell me it's raining, right?
Right.
Okay.
One more.
I'll say it that way without saying it.
One more. He yesterday implied, and he'll argue this, but he did. He implied that Judge Clark had no choice but to throw this out because she had to protect you and all of that crap.
That's nonsense. I don't even want to. I won't even dignify that with an answer.
Can I do a break and then we'll do more? What do
You're
have?
asking me to do a break?
Well,
go right ahead. I've got a Constitutional Caucus comment here.
Okay.
And I think it's worth sticking around for. But if you're asking to take a break, I'm certainly not going to stop you.
Listen, if you're stressed out over the Constitutional Caucus or it's raining when you're out getting petitions, the Falcon Clinic in Washington Mills can assist. If you have pain, whatever ails you, I don't mean to bring them into any politics by any means. However, whatever your political party, whatever your beliefs, pain is pain and sickness is sickness. And if you're in need of a new doctor, Dr. Shemaleski, Dr. Zielinski, and also Dr. Kosminski, and others, all under one roof, whether it's counseling, acupuncture, you need a family doctor, you need a new primary physician. It's all under one roof at the Falcon Clinic. Call them today at 315-507-4751, the Falcon Clinic in Washington Mills.
This upcoming comment has to do with, I guess, a failure, if you will, in their mission statement. I'll explain on the other side. First News, Keeler in the morning.
The 2023 Gun and Sportsman Show with Craft and Flea Market on Friday, May 19th and Saturday, May 20th will be at the Herkimer County Fairgrounds in Frankfort. You can find all kinds of hunting and sportsman supplies, ammo, bows, fishing gear, tanned furs, antiques, wildlife, photographs, wood crafts, leather goods, gorgeous gifts, flea market treasures, food trucks, and more at the 2023 Gun and Sportsman Show with Craft and Flea Market. The 2023 Gun and Sportsman Show with Craft and Flea Market on Friday, May 19th and Saturday, May 20th at the Herkimer County Fairgrounds benefits conservation education and is sponsored by the NYS Trappers Association. Vendor booths are available for the event. To reserve yours, contact Bill Swagler at 607-222-8554 or at nystaconvention@gmail.com. Admission is only $10 per person. Kids 10 and under are free. On Saturday, military is free with ID.
I can't take this kitchen any longer. Carl, we need to start looking for a new house.
Honey, you know the housing market is tight. It's going to be next to impossible to find something that we like.
I know, but this kitchen has to go.
Hey, what about a home equity loan from Adirondack Bank? We can turn the equity from our home into cash to renovate, just the way you want.
Renovate?
Adirondack Bank has competitive rates, and they've been a trusted community bank for decades.
A new kitchen. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Then, of course, we would need new furniture, and we could repair the deck, even add a pool, and take that trip to Italy that we've always talked about.
Whoa, slow down, honey. Let's go talk to the experts at Adirondack Bank about that home equity loan. Then we can decide where to start.
I've always wanted to add on a craft room, and our bathroom needs a facelift.
Don't move. Improve. Stop into your local Adirondack Bank branch for more information on a home equity loan or visit AdirondackBank.com. Bank local with Adirondack Bank, your hometown community bank. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
The internet can be an all-you-can-eat buffet for identity thieves.
So full.
Too many maiden names.
And social security numbers.
Where'd you find those?
By the password bar. Can't miss them.
LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss by monitoring your credit and bank statements. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
I have two dogs, Sam and Bailey. Both are golden retrievers. Poor Sam, he was a mess. Always itching. His paws were soaking wet all day from just constant licking. He had bald spots on his back. I just don't like putting shots and steroids into your dog all the time.
DINOVITE.com. Dinovite is nutrition.
Probably 2 weeks after he started Dinovite, I started seeing great improvements, and today 99% of his issues are non-existent. It's amazing stuff. Since Bailey has been 12 weeks old, he's been a Dinovite dog, and he has zero issues today. He won't eat his food without Dinovite. When I get out the Dinovite, my dogs actually salivate, like I'm getting them a treat. They drool over it. Dinovite is the best thing you can do for your dog.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dinovite from DINOVITE.com.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, I want to tell you Memorial Day is a week from this Monday. And you know that New York Sash will be closed on Memorial Day so that their workers can, and all of their employees and family can go to the parades and salute the military, because that's really what Memorial Day is about. It's memorializing those who we have lost. But New York Sash would like for those that also look at this as a weekend that kicks off the unofficial summer season They would love to give somebody something special. They're giving away a new Weber grill. You can sign up at their Idea and Design Center now through the 27th. Stop into the showroom. And on top of it, a chance to win that, no purchase necessary. There's a 20% off any project you do opportunity as well. So a grill, they're going to give you a free flag to wave at your favorite parade. It's a Memorial Day celebration in New York Sash all this week and right up until the 27th at their Idea and Design Center, 349 Oriskany Boulevard in Whitesboro. In studio right now, County Executive Anthony Piceni. And Manaski has a comment.
Actually, two regarding the caucus here. John says, when discussing the Constitutional Caucus, it's worth mentioning they're not a political party with a ballot line. It's actually a political action committee, a PAC. Their stated goal is to, quote, refresh, invigorate, expand, and strengthen the local Republican Party and win more elections. That was the part that I mentioned. It's been an abject failure.
Or to take over the party, change its leadership, and oust anyone who disagrees with them. That's really what we're talking about. And it's done in very aggressive ways that is not certainly something that is my cup of tea.
And
you're right. They've lost every election.
He followed up to say, and as Bill pointed out, its aims are couched in coded terms like honest elections, parents' rights in schools, traditional American values. I also have a comment here from Joe.
I just threw up in my throat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the honest election thing, I object to.
We're going at CRT in schools, fake elections, the ballot machines that are the people like Piceni's cheating. I mean, all of this crap. These are baseless allegations that they present as fact, and that is irresponsible. I'm sorry, that is bad. I could not support something like that. And if I see somebody who's a part of the Constitutional Caucus, I realize very quickly that's not going to be somebody that I would vote for. If you're affiliated with that, I can't be with you. If you're a KKK member, I'm not with you either. Not to compare the two, but in my eyes, they're both disgusting.
Joe Hobica, the president of the Utica School Board, says constitutional cuckoos were clearly repudiated by Utica 5-1 in Utica. Sue Arcuri, while not openly endorsed by them, but they all signed her petitions, and Martosha, too. Mention that, please. Their ridiculous ideology was rejected by voters.
You want to comment on that? That is
I think that you can't hide behind the fact. I mean, you're either with someone or you're not, and you can't go circulate petitions and then say, I'm not, and you can't go endorsing candidates and say I'm not. And candidates, and the flip side also, I would say can't. There is, maybe I'm different in that regard. I mean, I want people, obviously there are people who don't support me. I understand that. There are people who have differing, drastically different views. Now, if they vote for me, that's fine or whatever. But to say that I want them as a part of my campaign, if it's racist, if it's, against, the fabric of what I believe in, no. I mean, that's not how it should be. That's just my personal and political mantra in terms of that. I mean, I tend to agree with you. I can't, I'm not going to, so and I don't want to use, real harsh terms or organizations, but, I know what I believe in. I know what I stand for. I want people that support me in that regard. And if they can't, that's fine. And if they do, that's fine. But I'm not the extremist. I've never been there, and I don't intend to go there.
I will say that on the other hand, I've had people say, "Why do you let that person on the air? Why are you giving them a platform?" Well, that's also what we do. And
it's free speech.
It's free speech.
No, they have. Look,
they have every right.
They have rights.
Yep.
Everybody has the same rights.
And I support that. But
that's not what I'm saying.
You're not getting my vote.
Right. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah. And as a candidate, you have to be responsible. I feel, and to make sure that the people who are it's like anything else. It's what you tell your kid. The people you hang with, that's what someone's going to look at you and think you are, and you got to be careful of that.
But but also not just as a candidate. I mean, obviously, I'm an elected official. I still listen to everybody. I still hear everybody, and I hear counter arguments to my stance, whether it's even on this. Look, there are people who don't agree with my stance on this immigrant issue. Okay, I understand that. I understand your view. However, I'm in office. I'm charged with doing certain things, and I will do them according to what I believe.
Let's talk. Can we get away from the?
I'd love to get away from.
Let's talk about that, because that is a Onondaga County doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a press conference scheduled for today with Griffo and with Marion Buttonshawn. What is the plan to, in case we need it, they're going to use SUNY campuses, and that would include in Oneida County, or is it imminent that is happening and they're coming up?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it seems to be that they're looking at. I mean, because I got a call from, or we heard that they were looking at SUNY Cobleskill. That's the closest one I've heard to us so far. We had also heard at some point that whether they were looking, in one of the calls we had with the county execs and NISAC, that they were looking at some closed correctional facilities or prisons. Now, I don't know that that's on the table. We really don't know, because we haven't had a clear picture. But the SUNY one is very concerning for a variety of reasons. Obviously, the number one, that SUNY is a campus in which a lot of people go to every day. There's still classes going on. How is that going to integrate? What's the security piece going to be? Who's going to be responsible? How do you what are these people going to be given in terms of aid and assistance, and who's responsible for that? And ultimately, what's the time period here? I mean, nobody wants to answer that question, but I still liken it to the this is the governor declares the state of emergency, as she puts it, a crisis. But this is, we've been through crisis, and I'm not, I mean,
there's a state of emergency at New York's border, but there's not a state of emergency at our southern border with Mexico.
About a crisis, that it's a national crisis, or and whether she's declared a state of emergency in that regard, I'm just.
And to be fair, she's the governor of New York
State.
Is. That's her.
No, but here's the thing: this is, if we're looking at emergencies, and I know this is probably a crazy comparison, but it's not really when you think about it in this context. This is the floodwaters that, we've been through these disasters, and I've been through some of them too. And it's like, the disasters of, the flood is coming. Okay, it's coming. It's raining really hard. And now the water's getting higher. And now it's going over the road.
Well, we
and
better
it's coming
do something
down.
now.
And now it's coming. And now it's washed out these houses. And now we're going into another neighborhood. And maybe we should put sandbags up. We knew that, this was one they knew was coming. This was one that they knew that Title 42 was ending. And, they knew it months ago. The federal government knew it months ago. Mayor Adams knew it months
Horribly
ago.
handled.
Horribly handled all the way around. And in terms of, being a sanctuary city, as New York City is, to then, I saw the other day the Roosevelt Hotel, which is a hotel that my wife and I went to all the time. We went to New York. We loved it over there, and they closed, after the pandemic, I think. And it's going to be housed. I mean, it's, all of these things are just, what happens? What happens next? And, as an elected official looking at, the scope of these things and working with others, one of, the main rule is you got to look ahead and find out what, how do you, it's like anything else. How do you sustain? How do you do? But you also got to look back and say, where was everybody on this thing?
There are people from the Obama.
I don't know. I'm going to talk to Senator Griffo and the Assemblywoman before we talk a little bit this morning, talk to the sheriff and see what we have at our disposal.
There were people in the Obama administration saying not enough is being done to prevent this and to stop these people from coming over. So Democrats are critical of Democrats.
Well, because it's starting to get to
it's a disaster.
It's getting it's getting it at a 8 years ago, really, when that became such an issue in that presidential race of 2016. There were a lot of us looking at it. I mean, and even myself, sitting where I was like, is this really this big a problem, or is it just a problem in Texas and down in that southern borders?
And now it's
spreading. Now. I mean, 8 years later, it's all come through, and there does have to be something done, and Yeah, the president, the governor, Congress, everybody's responsible.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend. Looks
Thank
like
you.
a nice one. Hopefully it won't rain too much yet tomorrow.
County Executive Anthony Pacini. And I'm sure we'll continue all of this conversation next week. Right now, the Move to Mazda sales event is going on. Ricky Z says, here's your deal. 2.9% APR financing up to 36 months on new 2023 Mazda CX-30s, CX-5s, and CX-50s. Enjoy 0% APR financing up to 36 months on the new 2023 Mazda CX-9s. It is the Move to Mazda sales event. It's going on right now. Steep Pawnee Mazda Commercial Drive in Yorkville.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX 950 Utica Rome, W295DI Utica Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, a Town Square media station.
A new attempt to try to end Russia's war in Ukraine. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The Saudi Arabian Crown Prince put forward his offer to mediate talks at a summit of Arab leaders attended by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
We do not possess numerous killer drones that Iran supplies to Russia. We do not have that much artillery, but we do stay strong because we do have truth on our side.
Well, on Sunday, Zelensky will meet with President Biden and other leaders at the G7 summit in Japan, who pledged to help Ukraine as long as it takes while imposing new sanctions on Russia.
An anonymous U.S. official says the sanctions from the United States will blacklist about 70 Russian and other national entities involved in Russia's defense production, as well as sanction over 300 people, aircraft, ships, and other entities.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz. Now, Russian leader Vladimir Putin just said more sanctions lead to a greater consolidation of society. The Air National Guardsman accused of leaking classified documents about the war in Ukraine and other sensitive topics is due back in court today.
Federal prosecutors want 21-year-old Jack Teixeira to stay locked up until his trial on espionage charges, but his attorneys are urging the judge in Worcester, Massachusetts, to release the Air National Guardsman to his father's home. They say Teixeira didn't run when the media published his name before the April 13th arrest, and he won't run now.
Fox's Matt Napolitano. The funerals today for a black homeless man controversially killed on a New York City subway train May 1st.
Jordan Neely will be remembered by family and friends at a Baptist church in Harlem. He was seen yelling toward passengers on the subway when former Marine Daniel Penny subdued him in a chokehold for several minutes. Neely passed out and later died.
Fox's Gernal Scott. Penny, Marine veteran, was arrested, charged with manslaughter. Some call him a hero for trying to protect passengers. Donations to a legal defense fund top $2 million. America's listening to Fox News.
Maxwell, he was scratching and losing some hair. My vet, she says, oh, he must be allergic to chicken. Another vet said, eat the grain. Third vet said, it's the weather. Then somebody said, DINOVITE.com. It took 2 weeks, and the dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out. The Dinovite is a big part of Maxwell's diet.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Newsmax is conducting an urgent poll asking if Tucker Carlson should be on Newsmax with a primetime show. Vote in the Newsmax poll. Let us know you want Tucker on air. Text RESPOND to 39747. That's RESPOND to 39747, and we'll send you the poll. Let your voice be heard. Text the word RESPOND to 39747 and make the switch to Newsmax. Millions are watching. Texting enrolls for automated text messages. Message and data rates may apply.
It's the greatest pop rock of the 60s and 70s. The Happy Together Tour 2023. August 2nd at the Stanley Theater. Starring the Turtles, Little Anthony, Gary Puckett and the Union Gang, the Vogues, the Classics 4, and the Cowsills. Get tickets at the Stanley Theater box office, Ticketmaster.com, or by calling 315-724-4000.
New Holland Workmaster Compacts and Boomer Tractors at Clinton Tractor are tough on jobs and easy on your wallet. And New Holland offers a long list of attachments, implements, and accessories to expand the versatility. Add a loader, backhoe, mid-mounted mower, or brush cutter to take care of your land, yard, or job site. These implements add to the reasons why Workmaster Compacts